I'm a monist in some respects. See,
are you a Muslim or?
No, it's a monist. Monist
Okay.
means I believe in one ontological reality. I skipped this whole part.
So do you? Okay.
So I believe there's one essence, and there's only God's being. Nothing else exists other than God's being. Everything that derives its being from that is ultimately illusory because it has no ontology of its own. So for you to come along and say, well, Jesus Christ was fully God and fully man, right? You're saying that there's one essence, but then there's an arbitrary essence which is not truly that essence. I negate it totally.
Okay, so that is not a belief of the Muslims.
Yeah, that's not a
it's called monism, where you believe there's only one reality.
Yeah.
And they believe
like
that is God.
kind of.
It's,
Not really.
it's panentheism more like, but it's monism.
Panentheism gives credit that these illusions do actually exist in some certain way.
Okay.
I don't. I'm a very radical.
Okay. So in your view, there's God and then his
emanation.
So according to him, everything in reality is only God, nothing else.
Yes.
So your soul, your nature, is basically the nature of the essence of God.
For you to identify as something other than your
Muslims don't believe this, by the way. Just to clarify.
That's okay. That's a fair. That's a fair comment there.
It's coming more of a Hindu background.
It
but
sounds a bit Platonist as well. No?
Yeah.
The one and the noose, right?
Yeah.
But the noose is ultimately the one. It's just an emanation. It's an emanation. It has no real ontological
I don't think it's that incongruent with Christianity, for example.
Yeah. So we believe in in a dual nature. So we distinguish the Abrahamic faith. In fact, all of them, they distinguish between the creator and the creation.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas the monists, they don't. Am I right?
No, I don't agree that there is creation at all. I don't believe there is such thing as creation, because then you're saying, by saying that there is creation, then you're saying that creation exists as something other than the one essence that already exists. Because for something to be, it has to have being. It has to have an ontology.
Yeah.
And nothing has ontology other than one.
Yeah, so are you saying matter?
Matter is ontologically being.
Is matter God?
It's being.
But is it
say being is God? Yes.
So is matter God?
What you're calling as matter is the concept of being.
No, for me, matter is a creation of God. But for you, is matter God?
When you say matter is God, you're saying that matter exists as something separate to God.
Well, it exists. Does matter exist?
What is matter?
Everything that you can see, you can touch, you can feel.
Does it exist?
Of course it exists.
Okay.
Your body is material. So anything that's made of atoms and molecules, to me that's matter.
Okay, sure. I agree that they exist insofar as they are, that that it has being, but they have no ontological reality of their own.
What do you mean? Are you saying atoms and molecules don't exist?
Do they like only depend on the ontological principle?
They are
without which
when you say
so quickly this conversation went from Christianity to Hinduism. Okay, anyway, look, if you're going to deny the material existence and saying that there's no ontological reality for that, then you're not in touch with your reality.
No, I'm in touch with reality. That's the whole point.
Why would you deny that matter exists separate from its creator?
Because what other than the creator exists?
Matter. The creation.
His creation.
Okay. His creation exists as what?
As
what is it?
As other than the creator.
Okay. So there is an ontological reality that is separate from God's ontological reality.
No. Look, when you talk about ontological reality, everything
the very fundamental.
Everything that exists.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Which is matter, which is energy as well. All these things exist in the real world. We don't deny that. What I'm saying is that there is a clear distinction, okay, between matter and between the creator. Okay. Because there was a point in time when only God existed. And there was no other creation. No matter, no energy, no nothing.
Yes.
Okay? So we believe that God, God ontologically is separate and distinct from his creation. And he is indeed the reality. But we believe that his creation is also a reality, which was his creation. He brought it into existence.
Okay.
How? We don't need to worry about that, because he's able to say in the Quran, Allah says, if Allah wants something to come into existence, he just says, kun, he says be, and it becomes.
And it is.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So this is his command, by his command, because of one of his attributes is that he's a creator, he's Al-Khaliq.
Yes.
And because of that, he's able to create.
I believe this as well, but
But you're saying there's no reality other than him.
To be, I don't believe that it is something as separate from God, because it came from God and it is God insofar as being. See,
Okay, so
I would describe God as existence itself. So I don't believe God created existence. I believe God is existence itself. It's not that He created.
Was there a time when matter didn't exist?
Sure. Yeah.
What existed then?
Being itself.
What do you mean being? Be more specific.
God, existence.
Okay,
itself.
so did God exist when matter didn't exist? Is that what you're saying?
Look, even right now, I don't believe matter exists independently.
So you're not answering the question. Was there a time when this being, which you call God, existed and matter did not exist? Was there such a time?
I still don't believe matter exists.
But you're not answering the question.
I am, because then you
know why you're not answering the question?
Tell me.
Because you'll come to a dilemma which you'll have to deal with, that the universe itself began to exist at one point. Do you agree?
What is the universe?
Well, universe is everything which is matter and energy.
What is matter and energy?
I just told you, made of atoms, molecules.
No, but what is it?
I just told you.
No, you're describing something.
Okay,
just
so
like
what?
I'm describing this rail
Okay,
here, but
what
is it?
To me, is a creation.
Okay.
How many more definitions do you want?
No, that's okay. But ontologically, we still don't know what it is.
Did the universe begin to exist at one point?
Existence itself always was.
Means it didn't exist at one point and began to exist at a point.
No.
Okay, so tell me which scientist agrees with you.
Well, it doesn't matter whether they.
Well, you can't just make up claims without substantiating.
No, it's not. It's an ontological claim. So what they're saying.
Just because you use the term ontological doesn't mean anything.
No, it does. It makes.
When it didn't even
I'll tell you
exist,
why.
the term
I'll tell you why.
ontological
I'll tell
within
you
the
why.
context of the universe doesn't make sense, because the
I'll tell you why.
universe itself
I'll tell
didn't
you why.
exist at a
Okay,
point.
I'll tell you why. Let's take an ocean, a body of water. Yes? An ocean.
Okay.
Okay. This ocean has ripples and waves on it.
Right.
Yes? We can distinguish the ocean from the actual waves themselves, because the waves can be scientifically observed by their own width, mass, length, all of this.
Okay.
And we can say it's separate insofar as properties and expression of the same thing, which is water. The ocean has the same reality as the wave. That's all the non-dualists
Is
say.
the quality the same?
So, no, the quality.
You talked about the quantity. Is the quality same?
What is the quality?
Both are H2O.
So, well, exactly. No. That's what I'm saying. It's fundamentally one essence.
No, hold on. But when you talk about quantity and quality, there's different. We don't
I'm not talking about
we don't
quantity.
say, we as Muslims do not say that the quality of all this existence is the same essence as God. We don't say that. You do. That's the reason I'm asking you, can you substantiate what you're saying? Because to me, clearly, okay, and most of the scientists, majority of them, they'll tell you that 13.8 billion years ago, the universe began to exist.
What is the universe?
I just told you, I'm
Matter.
repeating. Yeah.
But when you
Yeah.
say it's matter, it's something that's observed, but we don't know what it is.
Is matter eternal?
No, I don't believe
Thank
matter
you.
is eternal. I don't even
Is
believe
God
matter-
eternal?
Yes.
So it's not the same essence?
I've been telling you I don't believe matter exists separate, like something that exists separate to being already.
Does he exist?
Yes, I do. I do.
Matter doesn't exist.
Your body is material, you know that.
I don't identify as my body.
Sorry, I don't want to.
I know. So then why?
So you know the day you were born, okay, that was the day.
I wasn't born. The body was born.
Why do you think it's not important to
Make the
to
distinction, because it's
yeah.
true.
Did you just say you were not born? So what, you dropped out of the sky?
No, the body was born.
Exactly.
I wasn't.
So was there a point in time when your body didn't exist?
Yes.
Okay.
When you say the body, yes.
Wait,
that's my whole
that's what I'm
point.
talking about, material, my friend. Do you not realize?
Yes, I
The
agree with
material that you're talking about, which is made of atoms and molecules,
Yes.
including your body
Yes.
and mine,
Yes.
did not exist at one point.
that. Yes, insofar as what it is, what we're describing
Good.
it to be.
Good. Now, is the body that you have,
Yes.
is it God?
Its ontological reality is God, yes.
Okay. Was there a point when this body didn't exist?
The body always existed insofar as being. But this expression
The
of
body always existed?
insofar as being,
Okay, and now you have to define being.
existence. It is.
Okay, so wait
when you
a
say-
minute. If
Yes.
it is just existence,
Yes.
then the question arises,
Yes.
did your body exist before you were born?
And so-
Before she conceived you,
Look.
you did not
Let's
exist.
make
That's what I'm
this-
saying.
Let's make no, I don't agree, because what are you saying? You are saying what I am.
You just said being means existing. Your body did not exist before You were
The
conceived.
body didn't exist as the body. The body, if it is being at this moment, then it always existed insofar as being.
Okay, so what did it exist as?
Just like if I take a paper right now and I burn it,
Yeah.
it will exist insofar as it becomes different types of energy, like smoke, and then it turns into whatever.
That's what I'm asking you.
So
What was your body?
insofar as that, it still exists.
What was your body before it was conceived?
It was being. It was being.
What being? You didn't exist.
Okay. You keep on saying I am the body.
No, I didn't say that. I said you have a body.
Okay, I agree with
which
that.
at one point didn't exist.
Yes,
Which
of course,
began to exist.
insofar as the body.
Okay,
We're
good.
referring to the body.
Okay, now
specifically the body.
listen, you called the body a being earlier. Am I right?
The body is being essentially, yes.
So a being always
Not
exists.
a being.
Oh, how many beings are there?
There's only one being.
And who is that?
It's not a who, it's being itself, existence itself.
Okay, who is
it's
it?
not a person.
Who is it?
Why do you have to put a person there?
I didn't. I said it.
You said who? If it already exists,
Okay,
why do you
what?
have to say
Okay, let
who?
me use a different. What is it?
It is being.
You can't just say it is it.
It has no name, it has no quality.
You called it a
has
being
none-
already.
Yeah, but that's just so we can speak.
Exactly. So in order for us to understand,
Yes,
we have to use language.
I agree.
So what is this being which you talk about?
Okay. Does my hand exist?
Looks like yeah.
Okay, why do you say it exists?
Because I can see it, I can touch it.
Okay, so you say that this exists insofar as the fingers and the atoms and so on. And
That's
so
what a
forth.
hand is called. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. That's okay. Okay. You are
To the discussion, please.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's interesting.
so. What I would say is that this exists insofar as my perception of it.
Of course. What is
Okay.
it about the hand you're talking
Okay.
about? What is the point?
What I'm saying is, what is the hand? When we're talking about what it is, right? You're saying it's just atoms. It's just well. Then what are the atoms? Well, quartz.
You know, in
Well,
order,
what are the
when I ask what,
yes.
I expect some attributes. Okay, that's what I mean by what.
So
the question-
attributes have to be an attribute of something already.
of course, of
so
course.
what is this something
Okay,
already?
so I'll give you an
talking about?
example. Okay, we believe Allah is God, and Allah has attributes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you ask me what is Allah, I say Allah is Almighty God. Very simple, very clear, to
It's
the
not
point.
an attribute,
Now,
it's a
no,
state
no,
of
I said
being.
Allah has attributes.
No,
I didn't
know.
say Allah is the attribute. I said Allah is.
Exactly.
Allah has attributes.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the attributes of Allah is justice.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So I can define Allah with several attributes. The question to you is this: you talk about.
Then you're not defining Allah. You're defining His attribute.
No, I'm saying in order to understand, even an object, take an object like a triangle.
Okay.
What comes to your mind?
A triangle.
What comes to your mind?
Shape.
What shape?
A triangle.
But come on.
A three-sided.
Thank you.
Yes.
You see, that's the attribute. Why? Without even me telling you, you knew about the object. Why?
Because that's what the word entails.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what we define. That's how we define an entity, by its attributes. If an entity.
But ultimately, God
Wait,
has no.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Yeah, that's the
So
thing I'm
far
coming
as-
to.
yeah.
So when you say something has no attributes, you know what you're talking about? Nothings. Because only nothing has no attributes.
Okay. Being, right? What attributes does being have?
I don't know which being you're talking about.
You see,
If you tell me about a human being, then a human being has attributes. You and
But
I
what
know.
is being?
No, like I said, look, when you talk about a being, you're being vague. You have to be specific.
I understand. Okay, it's like, are you aware right now?
Does the being that you talk about has attributes?
We can't say it does. Yes.
So you just said a minute ago, it doesn't. Now make up your mind.
No, not attributes is so far as I can say that it is merciful, it is this, it is that.
What kind of
because
attribute
that
is
is
it?
only in comparison to
Okay,
me.
what? No, it doesn't have to be. Like the ocean and a drop of ocean you mentioned earlier. So I can talk about justice as a human being. We have justice within humanity.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can never compare that to the justice of God Almighty. See what I mean?
Okay.
So there's a qualitative and quantitative difference as well. So back to the being. Make up your mind. Does the being that you're talking about has attributes or not?
Okay, let's describe what attributes are. 'Cause then
Qualities.
qualities.
Which define an object. Just
uh,
like a triangle has is a three-sided
no, because
object.
that's a physical quality.
What do you mean physical quality?
Well, a triangle has physical quality.
Okay, have you seen a triangle in reality?
Yes.
Where?
We can make a triangle insofar as a shape.
Go on. Make a triangle. You'll make a triangular object, but you can't call that just a triangle, because triangle is an abstract object, like numbers. Do you see numbers in reality?
No, but they exist insofar as they're numbers.
Yes. So these are abstract entities
But they still
which we
exist
use.
with qualities.
But what we are
right?
talking, when you talk about a being, you're saying that is the ultimate reality, and
Yes.
the only being that exists is that being.
Yes.
But when I asked you,
Yes.
does this being have attributes? What did you say?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
But earlier you just said it doesn't have attributes.
Because I don't know what you really mean by attributes still.
I told you
It's
already.
like
Qualities.
arbitrary- Okay.
What is
let's say-
what describes the entity or the being in this case?
When you're describing something, you're
Yeah.
saying that this thing has to have some sort of
How will you describe it otherwise?
physical objective qualities.
No, it doesn't have to be physical. It just have to have a distinct, some way to distinguish itself from other entities.
It's not physical. Would you say that's an attribute?
Yes. So for
Okay,
me,
so-
look, for me, angels exist.
Yes.
Okay, I don't consider them to be physical. They are immaterial, but to me, they still exist.
I agree.
Okay.
I believe material exists.
So let's go back to the being you're talking about.
Yeah.
Does it have attributes? And if it doesn't, how do you know that being is a being? And you can distinguish it
No,
from
okay,
other
so
beings.
all right, so if it's insofar as non-physical, it is not physical, it is not limited, it is eternal. If these are attributes, then being is an attribute. Yes.
Okay, so it is physical? Did you say?
No,
it's not
no,
physical.
it's not physical.
Okay, it is not physical. What else?
It's eternal.
Okay.
There's not much you can say about it.
So only two things? Non-physical and eternal.
I'm good.
You want to join in? You can. You're welcome.
I wouldn't want to muscle in on you. This guy's great.
Tony, you're good as well.
No, nice to see you, Hashim.
Likewise.
I'm really enjoying watching.
Yeah. By the way, he believes in monism.
I believe in monism, but
Okay.
I believe it can diffuse into a plurality.
I see.
And I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah, fair
Can
enough.
Can I just chip in one thing?
Yeah.
I don't think you're talking about a being. I think you're talking about being
itself,
So
yeah.
I think when you say to him, "What do you mean by what being do you mean?" I think you mean ontology itself.
Yeah,
Being
but
itself.
it's
What
kind
is
of hard
that?
to
But
establish
look,
that.
for me, if you use the term being, if you use the term entity, if you use the term object, to me, there's no way for you to distinguish that from anything else without its attributes.
No, I agree. But that,
And that's why I want to know, what are the attributes you would give to this being? And so far you told me eternal and immaterial.
Consciousness also, I would say.
Okay, consciousness.
qualia.
Yeah.
The qualia.
By the way,
Non-physical.
consciousness, qualia is, there's a distinction, but anyway, I'll grant you that. Carry on.
Sure. Okay, let's stick with consciousness.
Yeah.
Because quality is the
Okay.
experience of consciousness.
What about existence itself? Does it exist?
It is existence itself.
Okay, so that's another attribute.
Sure.
Okay, so these are
So then ultimately I agree that it does have attributes.
Okay.
Insofar as I'm
Now, this is
describing
what
it
this is what the Hindus might call the Nirguna Brahman. Yeah, are you aware of that? No,
Yeah.
you are.
I don't remember which one is Nirguna, bro.
So Nirguna is the one that doesn't have attributes. Saguna is the one that has attributes.
Okay, I didn't know about that.
Okay, so this is the Hindus they distinguish between, but they say that is still the same being. But then they contradict themselves by saying one has attributes and a form, the other doesn't have
See,
attributes and form.
but you're then saying
It's contradictory.
two beings.
No, they say it's the same being.
Yeah, exactly.
With two different categories of its qualities, which are contradictory, because the whole idea of Nirguna is without attributes, without form, and Saguna is with attributes and with form. But then it's the same being, so it's contradictory.
It's contradictory, but I think that it can both be.
You can't reconcile contradictions. If it's a contradiction,
When we're talking,
then you cannot reconcile it.
Can I ask one question?
yeah, go ahead.
Do you consider a yin-yang symbol to be contradictory?
You mean what, the good and evil?
Well, no, I don't
It's
think
symbolism, isn't it? It's symbolism.
So the yin-yang symbol is sort of half black, half white,
Yeah.
with a bit of white in the back and a bit of black in the line.
Yeah.
And I think it's a
To
misunderstanding.
me, black is distinct from white.
Yeah.
Okay, so hence it's not contradictory.
Okay, so you can see that what you've got there is superficially a contradiction.
No, it's not.
Well, black and white, they would seem
To me,
be-
black is not white and white is not black.
Okay, so
I don't know about you.
So at that level, they're definitely not the same thing, and yet they're reconciled and synthesized within one greater whole.
No, all they did was they added a black object and a white object into one, and they said this is the. In fact, even the name yin and yang are two different names. Even the names are distinct.
clearly.
So it's clearly distinct.
I don't wanna-
Yeah, it's not contradictory.
No. I agree with you.
It's to
I'd
symbol.
like to come back to
In fact, it's symbolism symbolizes good and evil, isn't it?
No.
Or good
I
and
think
bad.
that's the
I
point.
think
No,
Okay, I don't know much about.
I think yin yang represents masculine, feminine.
it represents.
It's a duality.
It's dualities. It represents duality.
It represents a transcendence of duality because it represents,
So-
say, the left-hand brain and the right-hand brain unified into a synthesis which transcends the duality back into a monism.
Yeah, but that's symbolic, isn't it? It's symbolic.
Yeah, but it's a symbol.
In reality, your left brain and the right brain are two different hemispheres
I
of the
use
same
left
brain.
and right
But
brain
of
as
the same
example,
brain.
Male,
Yeah.
female,
So
whatever.
there's two
Yeah, even male,
of the
female.
same brain. Of the same brain.
In fact, there's an ayah in the Quran where Allah says He's created everything in pairs.
Right.
And that doesn't, the ulamas, the scholars say, that doesn't necessarily mean just male and female or something like that. It could apply to day and night, to male and female, good and bad, and so on.
It's a ubiquitous symbol
Yeah.
which
So we do have a similar thing, but we still distinguish. Right over here, what we are talking about is the distinction between the creator and the creation, which we as Muslims, we distinguish clearly because there was a time when only Allah existed, when only the creator existed, and there was no creation. Okay? And the same, look, if you talk about the universe itself, which we believe is a material world, or the cosmos that you want to call it, it didn't exist at one point. It began to exist something like 13.8 billion years ago.
But if it began to exist, it must have been made with pre-existing stuff.
Why does it have to be made with pre-existing stuff?
So is your claim then that God can make out of ex nihilo?
If he wants to, if he just says he commands it. To me, God is.
But if
wait.
command,
To me,
it's
God's command is not nothing.
Exactly. So it's not ex nihilo. So it was. So the universe, then we can say that it was in some form God's word or God's being manifest.
No, it's not. So when God creates, so for
That's a
example,
logical conclusion.
okay,
out of that.
let me give you a logical analogy to understand.
Sure.
When a baker bakes a cake, okay, he might have his signature that this is a style of cake he makes every time. So we can see the signature of God in everything that exists, including the human beings.
Right, but the
okay,
cake-
but we don't
the
say
cake exists
we don't say that the
independently
cake
from
that the baker baked is a baker.
Yeah,
okay?
but
we distinguish
in this
between the baker and the cake
I
he baked.
understand, but
Yes.
the problem is here is that the baker is not God, right?
It's an analogy.
It's an analogy.
Don't
but
read
it's
too
not-
much into it.
No, I know, but but
So it's the yin yang.
but the baker, but the bake, what he's baking has an ontological difference to him.
Exactly.
Yes,
Thank you.
I wouldn't.
That's
say
what I'm saying.
I wouldn't say the same with that.
Why not? Give me an analogy.
Because how can something exist other than the only reality that exists?
Okay, because you know the being that you mentioned, it has about 4 or 5 attributes from what you told me. Okay, does the being have the ability to communicate with its creation?
Depends what you mean by communication.
You know communication? To have some sort of speech where they sign, where they say in a language,
Sure, yeah,
whether
yeah.
it's through writing. Does it have the ability to communicate?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, how does the being that you talk about communicate with you?
I don't know. Well, personally, he.
By the way, is it personal or impersonal? The being.
both.
You can't have
be
it both
Yes,
again.
you
Come
can.
on.
You can.
You can't have it personal and impersonal.
There's an impersonal side of God and there's a personal side of God.
No, but then if it does have a personal side, meaning that it has a personality,
Yeah, I agree.
okay,
It has a
then you
personality.
cannot call it impersonal.
It has an impersonal side, just like I have an impersonal side.
Okay, when you say
When I'm
impersonal,
asleep, I'm impersonal.
what do you mean by impersonal?
I don't have a personality at that moment.
Really?
Yeah. Where is it?
So when your mom sees you sleeping, you say, oh, this is somebody else?
Well, no, but that personality exists in her mind.
No, but she knows you're her son.
From what? The past.
Of course.
From past memories. This is my claim, right?
Yeah.
Let's just clear this up. I believe God is being itself. I don't believe God is a being. I believe God is being itself.
Yeah, but that's
Right,
the
so-
thing I want to understand.
and-
When you
and
keep saying being itself,
I know it's not. It's,
to me, anything that exists is a being.
that's the problem. It's like
What do you mean that's the problem? That's the
I
that's the
don't-
definition of a being.
not necessarily.
Really? Okay, define being. Use a dictionary if you have
It is.
to.
Okay, maybe the mainstream. Sure, fine, but the way I'm
Mainstream, of course you have to define it. I'm not going to use some fringe definition of a being in order to satisfy you. I'm going to use what is used generally in a day
That's fine,
from a
okay.
day-to-day language.
Are you being right now?
Yes.
Are you? Are
yes,
you?
yes, I am.
So
Good.
am I.
But are you God?
If we're saying God is being, then yes. But insofar as
But everything that
Raphael-
exists is a being. That rock over there is a being. That tree over there is a being.
Yes, insofar as being, not insofar as a tree, not insofar as a rock, because those are concepts that we put on being.
What do you mean concepts? You mean they don't exist in reality?
That's not what I'm saying. They
What are you saying?
exist insofar as being, but when you say a rock, why are you calling it a
Because
rock?
there are certain attributes which defines a rock.
Of what?
When you see that of a rock,
Okay, but you just said a rock is the attributes.
the rock has attributes.
What is the rock then?
What do you mean? What is a rock?
Okay, look. When
When I asked
know
you
I'm
what is
trying to
a,
be difficult. I'm not trying to be difficult.
no, it's not about
Swear I'm
difficult. When you talk about daily, day-to-day entities like a rock, like a tree, like a fence, like a human being,
Yes.
and you keep saying what is this, what is that? Okay,
Yes.
the reason you were able to distinguish all these different items,
Yes.
all these different objects, is why? Is what was the thing
because
that you could
they all
distinguish?
have different attributes.
Thank you.
Right.
Good.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're different attributes of a different ontological reality. So this fence doesn't necessarily have to be an attribute of something different other than being itself. Being can be a fence, being can be a human, being can be a
Yeah, but they have attributes which distinguish them.
that's fine. Insofar as the
by
attributes.
and
not
by
as
the way,
being.
when you talk about ontological reality,
Yes.
all you're saying is that they exist in reality.
Exactly.
That's all you're saying.
That's all the claim is that.
So why you keep using keep using
Because
this
that's
term?
the unit. That's where
Because
unity exists in being.
No. If something exists,
Yes.
okay, that doesn't mean that it is the same as every existence.
Oh, I know that.
No, it doesn't
Why?
mean that.
Why?
Because all you're saying is that something which exists in reality,
Yes.
is equal is equal to every other entity. No, it's
No,
not.
not in attributes, Hashim.
So
not in
all you're
attributes.
saying is that they exist. We already know that.
Okay, but that everything exists.
Yes.
Right.
Everything that exists.
Everything
There are
that-
certain things which are just imagination. For
But
example,
do they exist?
sorry,
Do they exist?
does a unicorn exist
Insofar as
in
a
reality?
thought, as an imagination, sure.
No, a reality,
What is reality?
something that exists.
So you're saying the unicorn doesn't exist insofar as an imagination?
I don't know about you, but as far as I know, it doesn't exist in reality. Do you think it exists in reality?
What is reality?
Oh my God, if that is what you're coming to, then you honestly, that's why I told you earlier, you're not in touch with your reality.
No, I am, Hashim. I'm down to earth. You know this. I'm not that. It's not that I'm too much with reality. This is what is reality.
No, if you,
Right?
hold on.
It's not.
I'll tell
just
you-
as,
I'll tell
Hashim,
you-
it's not just as easy to
Okay.
say God created
No,
it. And
it is.
It's really not.
Okay, what distinguishes fiction from fact?
When we talk about facts, we're generally talking about things that we observe in the observable universe, right? A fiction doesn't exist in the observable universe insofar as the fiction itself.
Very good.
It exists as a fiction.
Okay.
What I'm saying is these things
Where
that
would
we
you-
observe exist insofar as a fiction, not
That's fiction.
yes.
What, this reality is fiction to you?
Compared to God, yes, because they have
This
no.
is what I meant by you're not in touch with your reality. Because if you consider all of this, including yourself, as fiction,
Not myself.
Oh.
That's certain.
so your material, your body is not fiction.
No, see, you keep identifying me as
I
a
have
body.
to.
You don't.
Because I know where you're coming
No.
from.
No,
Because
you
what
don't
you
have to. You don't
what,
have to
no.
identify
What
against
you're
the body.
where you're coming from,
Yes.
when you say I,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
does it include your body?
No.
There you go. That's why I have to distinguish it. Because for the people who are watching this,
Yes.
they might not be aware of where you're coming from. I am.
I am. That's where I'm coming from.
I am aware of where you're coming from. Because
know.
you consider your body to be
then-
fictitious.
Insofar as what?
I don't know about you. Tony, is your body a fiction?
I don't think that rap is.
No, we don't agree on
He's
everything.
saying it exists at another level ontologically. It
But
exists
does it
at another
exist?
level.
No, but I try to make a distinction between fact and fiction. Doesn't matter.
Very important distinction.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where, in what level of your reality it exists or doesn't exist. Yes? The question is this: does it exist in any level of reality?
But see, when you say does it exist in any level of reality, you're talking about the same reality. You're talking about a spectrum of reality. I'm saying that reality is ultimately just one reality.
Good. So does your body exist in that reality?
Insofar as that body is in that reality, yes.
So it does exist.
Insofar as in that reality.
It doesn't matter which
But it's
spectrum
not-
you
it
want
does,
to.
Hashim, it does, because look,
Okay, now the same question. Does the unicorn exist in any of that spectrum of reality?
if you're including thoughts and imaginations a part of that reality, it exists insofar as that.
Okay, so thoughts, dreams, even fiction, for you that is reality at some level.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
then you're not in touch with the reality which I'm talking about.
What are
which
you
is the
talking about?
ontological reality of everything which exists, whether matter or whether it's material or immaterial. There are certain things which are just fictitious. Okay, which are
Like
made up,
what?
which are just made up, like thoughts, for example. You could think of anything. For example, can you think of a married bachelor?
Hang on.
Wait, Tony.
A married bachelor.
Yes,
What's a bachelor again?
someone who's not married.
Wow, probably not. No.
We had this discussion last week.
You see what I did
You
there?
have a.
I went to Hume. You don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
Hume. Oh, yeah.
You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Because what I did,
No, I won't go into.
what I did there was put a spanner in the works, because you are making a blanket statement that everything that you can
It's not
imagine,
blanket.
that you can think or imagine, is real at some level. But when you encounter a contradiction, okay, an impossibility, you got stuck.
But the impossibility, or that exists insofar as an impossibility.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
It exists insofar as an impossibility.
But if impossibility doesn't exist, then how can it exist?
It's like Woody Allen.
That's true.
Exactly.
No, this is a really good discussion.
Yeah. If it doesn't exist, if I said, okay, if I think about a square triangle or a square circle, you see what I'm doing there?
Yeah.
I'm introducing contradictions
Yeah.
which your brain cannot compute.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're getting stuck now.
Okay.
Because your reality
fair.
really is,
Right. But
is
why
kind of
would-
so fluid now
Okay, fine.
that you don't even realize that there are things which you can't even imagine.
No, that's fine. Okay, but what about
Now imagine
what
this.
about thoughts? What about thoughts? So in dreams.
Yeah, but to me,
Do they
thoughts. Look.
exist?
To me, thoughts. I can think of, for example, a country I haven't visited. Yes.
Yes.
I can think of Antarctica.
Yes.
Okay. I know it's cold. It's far away.
Yes.
Yes, it's at the pole. Okay. But even that thought is not something which is impossible. You see what I mean? But when I introduce something like a unicorn, okay, which is clearly fiction,
Yes.
which no one has proved, no one has encountered, and no one has substantiated of its existence. So in that case, that is something which you would consider as fiction,
Okay. I see what you're-
contrary to fact.
Okay, fine. What I was saying is, okay, let me see. I'm thinking about a square circle, which I can't.
Are you really? A square circle?
Yeah, I can't think about that, right? Because
Does a square have corners?
does a square have corners? Yes.
Does a circle have corners?
No.
How can you think of a square circle?
No, I just said I can't think of it. That's what I said.
You can think of it.
I can't think.
You cannot.
I cannot.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But when okay, let's say a thought, right, of something that doesn't exist, that which doesn't exist, but the thought exists still. The thought itself exists, right? It has an ontological reality. Thought.
Have you seen a thought?
I don't need just because you see
When
something.
you look, when you say exists, okay, I mean,
What do you mean by exist?
Are you saying that it exists as an imagination? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's why I keep
Okay.
saying insofar as a thought, it exists as a thought.
Yeah, but when I talked about a unicorn, you imagined a unicorn,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
That way you can imagine a spaghetti monster.
Sure.
Okay, you can imagine anything.
Yes.
Okay, except when it comes to contradictions.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, if I were to tell you that the being you're talking about
Yes.
has attributes and doesn't have attributes at the same time,
Yeah, because you can't think about
yeah,
it.
you can't.
You can't think
You
about.
can't.
You can't
so
think
that,
about God.
that Hindu
because-
philosophy,
Yes.
which about the nirguna and the saguna,
Sure.
the same being having no attributes and having attributes, would you consider that to be non-existent then?
I'm not too. I'm not too.
I've just
read
given you.
about
I've just given you the brief.
attributes in what sense?
No attributes, no attributes at all.
Look, I believe God has a state of being where He has no attributes and where He has attributes.
A state of being when he has no attributes. Give me that.
Yeah.
Give me that state. What state is that? When he has no attributes.
Eternal void. It's inherently.
But the term eternal itself is an attribute. That he's eternal.
insofar as me trying to describe it, but in and of itself.
No, but
has
you
no
said
attributes.
there's a
Hashim, you have to realize
that there's a being when he
that
there's an
human
existence when he didn't have an
intellect only
attribute.
goes so far as.
So why are you then
Human
wait?
intellect. because
Why are
you have
why are you speculating about this being which you cannot speculate about?
You can speculate upon it.
Okay, so
but you will never
so
derive
go on.
what
Imagine,
it is.
imagine a being without attributes. To me, the only, what do you say, thing that you can talk about. I wouldn't even call it a thing because it is nothing. Only nothing has no attributes.
But nothing doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't want to say that.
Absolute,
Sorry.
absolute nothingness.
Look, you guys are discussing so many interesting things.
No, Tony, but imagine, even if you want to come in, you're more than welcome. Absolute nothingness doesn't exist. Hence, it cannot have attributes.
Look, when the what
Do you, by the way, do you agree with what I just said? Absolute nothingness does not have attributes, and hence, it does not exist. In any reality, even in your thoughts, I can challenge you that. Even in your thoughts, you can't think of it.
No,
Because when you're thinking of nothing, you're thinking of everything other than nothing.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. That's true.
So there you go. So anything that doesn't have attributes doesn't exist in reality.
Okay, when we
And that
say
is nothing.
when we say nothing, right?
Yeah.
It has no attribute, not only physical attributes, but
Everything you can imagine.
Sure,
It doesn't
I
have
agree.
it.
I agree.
Good.
I agree.
So do you agree there's no such thing as any entity that has no attributes?
But God is not an entity. This I've been telling you this.
Okay, now you're going to wait. When you say God is not an entity, what is an entity?
An entity is a separate ego, a thing that has its own attributes.
Look it up.
its own.
Got a dictionary? Look it up.
Can you look it up? I don't know where I said.
Can't you just use a colloquial? You know
Yeah.
what you mean, right?
Yeah, I think he knows what I mean. He was using the term being,
Yeah.
and it's the same. It's again the same thing with something that exists.
Okay.
By the way, look up being while you're at it. Because you see, we have to understand the terms that we are on the same page. Others will be talking past each other.
You did being existence.
Exactly, that's what I told you.
Yeah, that's
Anything
the
that
whole-
exists.
that's my-
Okay.
But no.
And now look up. Now look up entity. No, don't put it in your pocket. That's the reason you took out
Entity.
the. Yeah.
Here. Not Diddy Kempot. A thing.
Okay. I think
With distinct and independent existence. With independent existence.
Okay.
A thing with distinct and independent existence.
Okay.
I disagree that it exists.
Oh, you disagree? What?
That entity exists.
What?
Nothing, because independent of what? Of the only ontological reality that exists?
It doesn't say that.
No, but
It's just
I'm
independent.
saying that. Independent of what? In compared to what? What is it independent to?
To another entity.
Like who, God?
The entity means everyone here you can say is an entity.
Sure, and
Okay?
I'm saying none
And
of them
everyone has their own distinct features from the other
Sure,
entities.
but
That's all it is, my friend.
But no, but you're saying not they don't have their individual existence.
Okay, good. You want to call it a being? I'm happy with that. Call it a being if you want to. Okay? But even the being,
that's the whole thing
even
I've
the
been trying to
being,
say,
even the
Hashim.
being is independent of other beings.
No, it's not, because when you're saying other beings, you're already proposing that being exists independently of being itself.
Of course.
It's a contradiction.
No. When
you're
you
saying, look, when you're saying
I think this is where the difference between
Yes, I agree. Yes, this
because
is
you're
where it
coming from a philosophy which is non-dualistic,
Yes. Yeah.
and I'm coming from a philosophy
Which is dualistic,
Yes,
yes.
and
With respect, can I suggest you concentrate? Because that's the root problem.
Yeah,
You
because-
guys believe that God is extrinsic to reality.
yeah,
Whereas
and that's
I
the reason.
myself
But the thing is, when I bring it down to the material world and the material existence, I asked him, was there a point when only the being existed and no other?
There is never other, Hashim. There is never other, because when you say there is other, you're saying that something other than being exists. You cannot have something that exists without existing.
Yeah, Raf, that's true. That's true.
You
That's
see?
true if you think God is intrinsic, as we do. But in their tradition, they think God is
but
outside
intrinsic
creation.
of what? No, I'm denying creation as a whole, because you're saying creation exists independent of being itself.
You're denying creation.
Insofar that it's separate as an independent thing from creation, from being itself, yes.
Okay, so
Because creation cannot exist without not being.
So when I asked you earlier that before you were conceived as a body, were you a body?
As a body, when you're saying
Isn't a
as
body creation?
Hashim, you're still missing the point I've been
Answer my
making.
question then. Is
No,
your
but
body
your
a
question
creation?
doesn't make sense from my philosophy.
Okay, your
There's
philosophy.
no such thing as a separate body. There's only
Good.
being.
So in your philosophy, before your body was conceived, did it exist?
See, you're still asking.
The reason you're not answering
No,
now
the
is
reason
because
I'm
you
not
don't want to
answering-
get to the bottom of it.
No, it's not because of that, Hashim. It's because when you're saying, if I'm making the claim that only being exists, right? Anything that exists has to be being itself. We can say it may
No,
different
we are talking about the time aspect.
There is no time, man.
Oh, you don't believe in time either?
I
Why are you wearing a watch? Really? Why is he wearing a watch?
not on a relative. I'm talking from the absolute point of view.
Bro, you can only talk from a relative point because you're a human,
Okay,
and everything is relative to your
I agree
ontology.
with you. I agree with you.
Good.
But can I pretend like I'm talking about?
No, you can't pretend as God because you're not God. That is the silliest thing to
That's
do.
not what I'm saying. I didn't say.
Well, you are. In fact, you are
I didn't
indirectly
say I'm
saying that.
I didn't say pretend to be God. I said pretending like
Like you don't exist.
from that perspective.
You know, look, your body, your mind, your soul, do they exist?
Insofar as being, yes.
Okay. Before you, was there a point in time when you did not exist? When I say you, I mean your soul, your mind, and your body.
That's not me though. I agree that the soul and the body and the mind didn't exist, but I always existed.
Okay, define I.
Being,
Okay, define being.
existence.
Okay, as material or immaterial?
There's
Are
only
you going to
being.
tell me there's no material, immaterial either?
Yeah, there's transcendent of both those ideas. Those are both concepts.
Do you not believe in the material world? You see, that is why I keep telling you, you're not in touch with your reality.
That's not true.
Because if you're going to deny even the material world that we live in,
But material, that's like a materialist view. Okay, only this exists. No, I don't.
no, I never said only material exists. Hold on, don't put words in my mouth.
No. It's
I'm
not
saying,
what I'm saying.
I'm actually, look, I'm saying both matter and immaterial things do exist in this world, in this universe.
So
even
matter
beyond universe.
exists, so matter
in fact,
exists
before the
independently of
universe
the
was
material.
created, we as Muslims believe Allah always existed. Okay?
Yes.
And we don't say Allah is material. We don't say Allah is matter or even energy.
Sure.
Okay, what we are saying is that we believe in the material world and the immaterial world, and as Muslims we believe both of these are real existence. Now you keep saying that I, the being, but when I come to the nitty-gritty of it, when I asked you to define the being, yes, you're all over the place.
No, I already.
In fact,
did
you deny even the material world, you deny time, you deny creation, you deny everything.
I do.
Okay?
Because they have no ontological existence other than
they
being.
do. They do.
What's the ontological
For you,
existence? Hashim,
to me,
Hashim, what?
okay, the ontological
let's get down to
existence.
the getting nitty, because you said let's
Yeah.
get it down. What do they exist as?
As
you,
what?
you just say Allah's
When you say
creation.
when you say they, what is they? If you're talking
these
about
things that you were
the
talking
material
about.
world, then every material world, including that watch
Yes.
and the time that you don't believe in, to me that exists.
As what? Exist as time? What is time?
Your watch exists as material thing.
So they
A material entity, if you
So
wanna call
okay,
it.
so atoms. What are atoms then? So we're talking about
Matter.
material-
This is matter. Look.
What is matter?
Okay.
I keep asking you this, Hashim, and you
If
don't have an answer for
No, wait. When you say what is matter, to me matter is creation. I gave you this answer several times.
That's perfect. Creation.
Good.
Creation. What is creation?
Something that the creator created.
So once it creates, it's separate from God. It's
Of course, I've
totally
always said
separate.
it's distinct from God.
Well, this is where I disagree.
Why?
Because how can something which is the reality create something that is also a reality separate from itself? If this is the only reality,
Okay, so if a carpenter makes a chair, does a carpenter need
is
to be
the
the chair?
carpenter the only reality?
Is an
The
analogy.
analogy doesn't work because in this case, God is the only reality.
No, you're saying everything that is God created automatically becomes God. Am I right?
God is so far that it
No, answer
is-
the question.
yes.
Answer the question.
Yes.
Okay, so everything that God created
Yes.
becomes God.
Not becomes. It always was and always will.
Okay,
be.
so for you, everything. Are you a pantheist now?
I'm a monist.
Okay, so
Monist.
so monism implies that the only reality is one.
That is the only reality.
Yes, that is the only reality.
Yes. So
Okay.
what we're perceiving over here, this is all that one reality
Okay.
perceived from a mind, from a separate point of
Okay,
view.
but what we are perceiving here didn't exist at one point. Do you agree?
That's not true. What we're experiencing here in this way, it didn't exist in this way. It existed as an inner state, then it existed as.
Where is the evidence for that? You made a claim.
Do you believe?
No, where's the evidence for
Yeah,
that? That it
okay.
existed as something else. For
Okay.
example, if I told you that this fence,
Yeah, I know.
This
I
fence
don't
didn't
wanna
exist?
Bring that up. Okay. When we're talking about talking about this.
yeah, the fence.
The fence.
Yeah.
Did the fence exist as whatever? Is this iron? What is this?
Yeah.
Steel? Did it exist as so far as steel?
It didn't exist at all at one point. Well, even at steel.
No.
Even as
Well,
steel.
No.
Or even as iron.
Forget about that. When this fence, did this fence exist insofar as iron? When iron existed, not before creation.
Yeah, it's all
So why
eternal.
do we call it an iron? Why do we call it a fence?
No, because it's given an attribute now. Which makes
the
it a
attribute
fence.
is not. So the attribute is. It doesn't make it a fence. The attribute just says that it's a fence, but it doesn't make it a fence. It's still iron,
No, the reason you're calling it a fence is because of its attributes as a fence.
which is what? Iron.
That's how you distinguish matter based on its attributes.
But there's still concept.
Doesn't matter
It has
whether
no
it's an
reality.
atom, whether it's a
has no
fence.
reality. A fence has no. It's reality.
What are you leaning against?
Iron.
Is it real?
Iron is real. Yes.
You just said it doesn't have reality.
No. But you're saying
Recap
fence.
what you're talking about. Just so
You watch the video, my friend.
Oh, good.
He wants us to recap the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay.
We're getting back to.
No, because-
creation. Let's talk about before.
No, look.
creation and
I
after
gave you.
creation.
I told you the distinction between the creator and the creation.
Yes.
But you're saying everything that exists
Yes.
is God itself.
Yes.
Okay, indirectly, even if you're not using that same phrase, but that's what you mean.
Yes.
Okay. But for me, God always existed.
Yeah.
Okay. For you, when God creates something, okay, automatically it takes on the property of God. So what are you saying?
Not the property of God.
Now, what does it take on?
It-
Why would you call it God in any form?
It takes. I would say it's an emanation or an attribute of God. Like but
An attribute of God.
It is fundamentally God. How? Okay. Let's say I want to have two pieces of this same bracelet, right? I'd have to cut it in half. But does it just because they're two separate things into my vision, does that mean that they're separate things insofar as what it is? They're both leather, right? Things can have, let's say, clay pots, right? There's a bigger pot, there's a smaller pot, there's a cup, and there's a plate. But they're all made of clay.
Yeah, talk about the substance.
Yeah, what it is clay.
So for you,
same thing. God
Yeah.
only exists. Only clay exists. So
is-
therefore, you can
acco-
only make a cup
according to
insofar
you,
as clay.
when you use the term God,
Yes.
okay.
Talking about existence itself.
okay, is existence for you material or immaterial?
Neither. I believe they're both.
Do you distinguish between material and immaterial, or you don't?
No, I don't.
You
In
don't?
my everyday life, no, I don't.
Okay, is your soul material or immaterial?
I don't really believe in the soul in the same way you do.
What's your soul then? Because you usually use the term earlier.
I don't know if I used the word
So-
soul. Well, I used it insofar as what you were saying, your soul, your thing, and I was like, well, these things, what are they? They are ultimately being.
But we do understand, we do distinguish, because when a person dies, okay, what is death? What is death according to you? Oh, you don't believe in that either.
Ultimately, I don't.
So you don't believe you're mortal.
The body's mortal.
Oh
I am
yes.
not mortal.
Oh wait. So you did distinguish now between the body
And I.
and I. Is that I material or immaterial?
It's dualistic. Neither. It's dualistic. Is it dual? Who said that? You said. Oh, okay.
What do you mean neither? What do you mean neither? Because when you say I, okay, when you die, once
immaterialism.
define that to me. Define that.
Immaterial only exists insofar as materialism, and materialism only exists insofar as immaterialism.
What do you mean so far as?
When you say something is material,
Something that is not made of matter, okay, to me that's immaterial.
okay,
Something that is made of matter is material, as simple as that. Now when you die, define to me. By the way, everyone dies one day. Even an atheist, even a monist. Doesn't matter what you call yourself. Everyone dies. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Every soul
person dies.
shall taste death.
yeah,
So explain to me death in your understanding.
okay. When awareness no longer is in the body, I would say that's death.
What's awareness? Is it separate from the body?
Yes.
But you said everything is same reality.
It insofar.
You're right, you didn't become a dualist.
Look, when I'm talking about the fence is separate insofar as the iron, because a fence is a concept. It doesn't really exist. It's just iron.
Fence is a concept?
Yes, it is. It's what we're seeing.
So can I
here
call
is
anything a
just
fence? Can I call anything made of iron fence? Maybe maybe I
what-
cut my potatoes with a fence instead of a knife.
Hashim.
That's why I said you're not
what
in touch
is-
with your reality.
What is the fence? What is it?
It's something which it separates one. It's in this case it's made of metal. Okay, it separates the grass from this road here. That's the reason they
You're
put a
talking
fence.
about the purpose of it. That's what it does.
No, I said
What
it's
it
made of
is.
iron.
Okay, so it's iron.
Okay.
So why are we
so
calling it a fence?
anything? For example, your watch over there.
Yes.
Okay, the bracelet.
Yes.
Or the buckle there.
Yes.
Is that made of iron?
The buckle, let's say this one.
Let's say it's made of iron.
Let's say yes.
Okay, is that a fence?
No,
Why?
because it's iron.
But why is it not a fence?
Because that's not what the concept is trying to say.
How do you define the concept?
We are making the concept.
I've told you
Based on
earlier.
what-
Make it easy
what-
on yourself.
what we're making
It's called
it to be.
attributes, my friend. The buckle has separate attributes from this fence, even though they might be both made of the same material.
Okay,
So let's go back.
they're-
Wait.
they're
You know.
different
I don't know why
insofar as
every time we
attribute,
talk
yes?
about something distinguishing material from immaterial, you seem to jump to another topic. Once again.
No, I'm talking about.
Okay, so define to me that once again. You said the eye, the body disintegrates, but not the eye. Am I right? In fact, yeah, awareness, consciousness.
Sure.
Okay, is the consciousness different to your body?
Ontologically, no.
Okay.
No.
So what would you call that then?
The end of one attribute, which is the body.
It doesn't end, does it?
Why?
Because your body,
An attribute ends
your
just
body,
like-
your
just
body
like-
just changes energy
Okay, fine.
from one energy to another.
Exactly.
So it
Exactly.
doesn't end. Your own definition is going
ends-
against you.
Okay, look. The water ends insofar as it's water and then it turns to steam. Ontologically, it was always the same, but it turns to steam. Insofar as that it was water in that form,
Okay.
it stopped being in that form, but it's always being in some form.
Okay, so
Just
you're
like I believe.
So
being
in fact, you're
takes on
arguing
different
against
forms.
yourself.
Why?
Once again, what is death? Now, using the same using the same definition you
Yes,
gave.
one state of being to another state of being, I would say is the death of that state.
So
of
is
being.
it just transfer of energy? Is that what you
Yes.
said? Okay.
Yes.
Did energy always exist?
Yes.
Where's the evidence for that?
Well, tell me the evidence against that.
No, you said it always exists. You're the one who made the claim. The onus is on you to provide the evidence.
Okay, let's say the first law of thermodynamics.
Okay. The first law of thermodynamics says what?
That in a confined space,
In a closed space.
Sure,
Closed system, yeah.
Right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
Okay. What closed system are we talking about?
Sorry?
Which closed system are we talking about? When you say energy always exists, what closed system are you talking about?
Existence. I believe
Existence is not a system.
Then what? Then what?
Because you are the one using the first law of thermodynamics. That
Yes.
energy can neither be created nor destroyed,
Or destroyed.
in a closed system. Which closed system are you talking about? Because this law only applies when this condition is applied, not in every condition.
So okay, okay, so then where can energy?
No, it's your claim. The onus
And
is
I
on
do
you.
think, because I did say first law of thermodynamics.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Okay. If it's a closed system, there are arguments that the universe, cosmos is a closed system.
Did the universe always
There
exist?
are arguments, there are very, very cogent arguments that the cosmos always existed.
Sorry, according to which scientists? You know, people can always make claims, but when we ask them to substantiate it, they don't want to step in. Google it, yeah, no problem.
Sean Carroll, you can go online and see Sean Carroll say it's true. Do you know Sean Carroll?
Yes,
Okay. You know Stephen Hawking?
yes, I know.
His
Stephen
last
Hawking.
theory, he thought it existed.
Okay,
Right?
so when you
Hang on. Hawkins, who are we talking? Sorry, I'm very late.
okay, what you're talking about are hypotheses. Do you understand the difference?
Penrose, who just...
Even that,
Hang on, wait, let me get it.
you can bring me names, no problem.
Roger Penrose, who just got the Nobel Prize for Physics,
Yes.
he believes the case. When Penrose and Hawkins and Carroll, and I've researched this in 70...
I like the word you use, believes.
I know.
It's called hypothesis. So, you know, people like him can hypothesize that the unicorn exists. Okay? Does it make it true? No, it doesn't. Because there are the majority of the scientists out there, the cosmologists, okay, they depend on scientific methods. And the first step in the scientific method is hypothesis. But in order for them to get it approved by a peer-reviewed scientist out there in that same field, okay, then it takes the status of a theory. So far, Penrose and all, they haven't reached the status of a theory. And that's the reason I would reject this hypothesis which you come with.
Can I come in?
And that's why you have to prove to me that the universe always existed, or there are other universes beyond our universe.
Big Bang is a theory.
Yeah, it's the most accepted model of,
Scientific than the
by the way, that itself is a theory and is a model which is the most accepted model even today. Okay, and this is what we believe in the sense that if there's another model out there, then bring it forth. But right now, they only exist at a status of hypothesis. Yeah, you can chip in. No
Can I
problem.
come in on this?
Sure, Tony.
Actually,
You can come here.
or
No.
not. I mean,
It doesn't matter to me. Me and
Why
Hashim have
come
been
and
wanting to
share
have this
it's only on
discussion
this
for a while.
particular point. I'm trying to. Okay.
Yeah.
Just for the second.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll leave again because I think you guys are having a really interesting discussion. I think the truth, if you're honest, is there is a consensus of scientific opinion that says it's perfectly possible the universe always existed. This is true, and I've cited you 3 top scientists, and I could go and
3 scientists don't make a
No,
consensus.
but I'm citing the ones.
Tony, you're just saying this.
No, I'm not just saying it.
No, you're
I'm
just saying because it's not a consensus. That is for certain.
Okay, I'm mentioning Nobel Prize winning physicists.
It doesn't matter.
Including
a Nobel Prize winner can have a hypothesis.
Yes.
No problem with that. But it doesn't make it a consensus.
Okay, let me be clear. I'm not saying that it's a fact and it's definitely true. I'm saying it's a possibility.
That's why it's a hypothesis.
Correct.
Good. So it hasn't reached
what-
consensus.
what we-
Why would you call it a
Don't
consensus?
worry about consensus.
No, but you use that term.
I'm.
You have to be clear, Tony. You cannot call something which is a hypothesis as consensus.
Hashim.
That's disingenuous.
Hashim, you can have a consensus on a hypothesis.
No, show me one hypothesis.
The hypothesis that the universe
Wait.
always
You just said a
existed.
Big Bang is a
There
hypothesis.
No, wait.
And there's a
Which
consensus
scientist
on it.
says the universe always existed? Sorry, which consensus of scientists says is
Sean
always?
Carroll.
3 scientists cannot make it.
I named you 3 top scientists.
I know, it
including
doesn't make it a
2
consensus.
Nobel Prize winning.
It is
It's
the
not-
Big Bang,
The point is that I'm mentioning to you the elite of the science.
Have you heard of Alan Good?
I'm not going to go there.
No, why not? Because Alan Good challenged
Hashim,
the scientists that you brought up.
Hashim, we
Okay.
speak a lot, and let's share the space.
No, but look, Tony, when you come in and start saying it's a consensus,
Then I'll leave.
when it's just a hypothesis, I think that's not being entirely honest.
To me, there's no contradiction between a hypothesis and a consensus. There is a consensus on a particular hypothesis.
Is a Big Bang a hypothesis?
It is, yes.
Is there a consensus
Sorry,
to
a
it?
Big Bang is the theory, not a hypothesis. It has moved on
Okay.
to a theory.
Then use the
Is
word
a theory? Okay.
Alan Good denied every scientist that he brought up.
I don't know why.
Okay? Do you know who's Alan
Why
Good?
can't we?
Wait, do you know who's Alan Good?
Nope.
Good. So go and look it up because you haven't actually researched this.
I have researched
Okay,
the
is-
Nobel
is-
Prize winning physicists.
Oh, wait, just because you call it a
Because
Nobel.
I've decided that Nobel Prizes are a fairly good indication of the quality of somebody's analysis. So I look to them.
Can
Now,
someone who is a Nobel
In
laureate,
fact, I don't think you're going to
Tony,
You're not
if-
going to find many Nobel
if
Prize
someone is a
scientists.
Nobel laureate,
Do
can he be
believe that you
opposed by
believe.
other scientists?
Of course.
Good.
Which is why we can agree.
That's why you have to go and read Alan Good.
So let me give you a point of agreement.
Go
I'm
on.
going to bring Alan Good to
You have to because you haven't studied this.
I have studied that.
If you would have, then you would have come across Alan Good.
I don't have to have come across a specific scientist who supports your position in order to have actually looked at. Are you aware?
Then why would you call it a consensus?
I forget the word consensus.
Okay. So
Let's-
do you
let's
take that back?
off- No, it's not that I'm taking it back.
Okay, then let me
do-
continue with him because if you're going to stick to your guns without any substantiation, out of just arrogance, that's not really fair.
I'm not trying to be.
You are, because once I've told you that it is a hypothesis and you call it a consensus, that goes completely against you. You know why?
was using
Because
the word
the
colloquially.
scientists will never come upon an agreement as a consensus
Hashim.
based just on hypothesis.
Hashim, you know me, I'm using the word colloquially.
What, consensus? Then why are we talking about scientific research here? If it's just colloquial.
I'm trying to make an assertion that I think is true, and the assertion is this. I think there is a disagreement in the scientific community, a credible disagreement, as to whether the universe went on forever or it had a beginning. We know the Big Bang occurred, or it seems very likely the Big Bang occurred, but if you listen to Sean Carroll, etc., they're saying the Big Bang doesn't to them mean that there was nothing before that. It simply means that's as far back in time as we can look and understand a cogent picture, okay? So there's 2 possibilities here, and both of them are cogent, okay? I'm not saying your model is wrong. My model may be correct. Your model may be correct. It's up for grabs.
Tony, it's not your model or my model. It is a
Model that
model.
you subscribe
no,
to,
no,
the
it is a
model
model that the scientists came up with. Many of them that you, in fact, all of them that you mentioned
Yeah.
are hypotheses. Now, here's what Alan Guth, who is actually
Also a hypothesis.
no, it's not a hypothesis.
It's not a-
Here's a reason he actually discredited what these other scientists call, it's called the oscillating universe, which says that our universe is before, The reason he denied that this could be plausible is because of entropy. Do you know what's entropy?
Second law of thermodynamics.
What does it say?
Second law, the energy in the system will diffuse and become more chaotic.
Yeah, so there's disorder after order. And this is the reason. When one universe oscillates and becomes another universe, okay, the entropy increases or decreases? Increases. Hence, it's not possible because by the time it goes through I think they gave something like 8 or 9 increments when it would have run out of energy. And hence, this cyclic universe, which many people call it multiverse or whatever it is, that's the reason it was then rejected as going to the next stage, which is this hypothesis becoming a theory. Okay, so this is a scientifically proven method of disproving what people come with as hypothesis of a cyclic universe.
Hashim.
Alan Guth, look it up, Tony.
With respect.
Not consensus.
Hashim, look up these guys.
I did already. That's why I told you. Alan Guth denied what they said because of entropy. So you can use the first law of thermodynamics, then you ignore the second one.
Is that a consensus?
What is a consensus?
Forget consensus.
Alan.
Yes, because he used something which is axiomatic. In this case, the second law of thermodynamics.
But is his conclusion a
Yes,
consensus?
because
or is it just the theory that he used?
That's the reason this particular hypothesis did not reach the status of a theory.
Has Alan Guth won a Nobel Prize?
Does it matter?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm quoting scientists who have.
Okay, what makes you think someone who's a Nobel laureate cannot be refuted by someone who's not a Nobel laureate?
It's possible. However,
There
in
you
terms
go.
of probability.
Then your point is
in
moot.
terms of- no.
It's a moot point,
because
yeah.
I'm weighing the probabilities. And when I'm trying to find the strongest argument, I'll go to
I
the
gave you
people-
this. Look,
No, you quote
Tony.
an argument you consider strong. I'm going, if
you give me a reason.
I'm going to look for
I'll
an
tell you what.
argument.
Give me a refutation to
Share
this.
the space.
Yeah, Tony. If you give me a refutation to this, the second law of thermodynamics, then we have a point.
I'm not-
Otherwise, we'll just go against. What we are doing here is arguing with regards to our egos. We don't want to do
No,
that.
I'm not going on my ego.
I gave you based on a
I'm not going on my
scientific.
ego.
I gave you based
What
on
you're
scientific
saying-
reason.
You're not.
I did.
You're not.
Second law of thermodynamics.
You just quoted it, but you're not quoting the implications of
But
it.
no, I didn't quote it. I gave you them.
Okay,
I gave you.
you're citing the second law of
I didn't even cite it. I remembered what Alan Guth had postulated
You've
and
got a
as a refutation against these people who believe in a cyclic
Alright,
universe.
This is when,
Yes.
when you hit the physics, okay? What I do know with a lot of these discussions is that the people really are not representing the physics accurately. And I'm going to make this simple assertion. Anybody who says they're 100% sure about the physics is being disingenuous.
Okay, so who said 100% here?
Okay, well,
no one did.
This is the point. When I talk about the physics, and these guys talk about the physics,
Yeah.
they understand that they're hypotheses and they're contingent, and they've got good models, they hope,
Yeah.
but they're willing to update them. Your position, with respect, okay? Because I share.
I'm talking about the same thing which was refuted.
The position that I hear from, I think you and certain other people here.
I'm saying Alan Guth refuted
Okay, so
these
you-
people
Great, so you-
that you brought up.
Great, so you've got a non-Nobel Prize winning scientist.
Non-Nobel
review.
Prize. As if that's a real good point.
I have conflicting. We can agree that we don't know. We should be able to agree we don't know.
If I don't know, I'll tell you so.
Great.
I will not call it a consensus,
but
unlike you.
but built into your argument,
Point.
this is my point. It's about certainty. I know I'm not certain. You argue as though you are certain about
No,
something
I'm saying-
from a scientific
I'm saying the-
point of view.
I'm saying the-
and it's that certainty which is the
Tony,
problem
listen.
here.
I never said
There's
100%
no
at point
so
at
you're
any
not
point.
100%.
So you are making this strawman argument against me,
argument.
which I did not bring up.
Not a strawman.
So it is
Got a really
because
bad memory.
yeah.
No, I'm saying
It's
you're
okay,
not.
it's okay, it's okay. Let's calm down, guys. Let's
I'm
calm.
saying
So
we
Tony,
are-
Tony,
neither of us is
look
100%
here. You
sure.
brought up a position,
Yeah.
which you haven't completely researched yet. Because if you
How
did,
did you know my research?
because you didn't even hear of Alan Guth.
I don't have to have heard of every scientist who can.
I
ever
never
be
said every.
quoted.
I said at least the point that you made.
I don't
Look
have
at the
to have
counter.
Alan
Look
Guth.
at the counter rebuttals to
I've gone
that.
to the elite of the scientific community, including the 2022 Nobel
Oh, guys.
Prize.
It doesn't matter.
But you-
Alan Guth.
you don't care
In fact,
about
Alan Guth is a
2022.
Alan Guth is someone who is a respected scientist in
your
this
opinion,
field.
In your opinion. Why am I taking
Okay, I think,
opinion?
Tony, you're getting personal now.
I'm not trying. No, I'm not.
You are. Let me go back to you, because I think this is going circular now. I've given you a refutation to the point you brought in. You said you haven't heard of the scientist who gave you a refutation to that point you brought in.
You pulling in a scientist who happens to.
I did not
your
pull it in.
position.
I said I studied this.
Why
And that's the reason I'm telling you the cyclic universe is not a possibility, even from the point of entropy, the second law of thermodynamics.
You're not qualified enough in physics to make absolute assertions. Like
I never made an absolute.
you are.
It's again a straw man
You're
argument.
saying you're certain.
I never said that. Did I say that?
So you're not certain.
So why making straw man
you're
arguments?
not certain.
Did you make a straw man
If you're
argument?
not, no, I'm
okay,
not.
that's why I want
If
to
you're
talk to
not
you.
certain,
Tony,
either you're certain or you're
Tony,
not. Are you certain?
let's end it here.
Are you
Go home,
certain?
study Alan Guth, and then come and
I'm
talk
not
to
gonna
me.
study Alan Guth.
Good.
I've already
Then keep
studied
on with your
physics.
arrogance. It's up
I'm
to you.
not being arrogant.
Okay, so
I'm arguing the physics.
what were we talking?
Sorry,
We were talking about.
I mean, get on with it.
I mean, it's up to you guys.
No, I don't want to have a talk with Tony because I think it's. I think I somehow.
Trying to convince you about it.
No, I promised Hashim a while ago. We wanted this conversation to happen a year
I'm
ago.
gonna back that. Listen, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry, I'll back
No,
that.
it's
I
okay.
like you.
It's okay. I like you as well, but all
sorry
I'm
it
saying
went
is
back.
that
No, listen.
look at the
guys-
argument holistically, and then we can talk.
You
But if
guys-
you're going to say that this is the way that three scientists and make it a consensus, I think that's not being fair.
I'm saying that the truth is neither.
And then you
of
said
us-
you used it colloquially.
All I'm saying is, I think the truth is neither of us knows for sure. Admit it. There is a dispute of opinion. Therefore, and honesty is a virtue. The honest thing to do is just for us to say, we don't know for sure. That's all I'm saying.
You know, I was honest when I said I looked at both sides of the argument. You only looked at one.
And you're certain.
And listen to me, let me finish. So when I look at a particular hypothesis, okay, I say, okay, these guys are saying that there is a possibility of this cyclic universe. Then I look at the counter arguments again from the same scientific community who have studied this matter in detail. And they gave their side of the story. When I looked at the two, I said, yes, the people who said that this is not possible because of entropy, they have a strong point, to which the other side hasn't yet come up with a counter refutation.
Sure.
Okay, you know when one side gives a refutation to the other, should the other side give a counter refutation?
If they have a credible one.
Exactly, which they don't yet, your side.
You're just saying that. It's not
I've
based
studied
on-
it, I'm telling you. Okay, look, go and study Alan Guth, and then we'll discuss. Why would you not? If you want the truth, why would you
All
not?
I want you to do is admit that the truth is neither of us is certain.
You know, when you talk about certainty in science, then that's not science.
Science understands it's uncertain. It's built into the bones of science.
Good. So
That it
don't
understands
use
it's
an argument which doesn't apply to science.
So when
that
you-
you're certain, you're 100%. All this
I'm
thing
not
is
saying
from
100%.
emotions.
I'm not saying
You use this. It's on camera.
No, I'm saying.
Are you 100% sure? Are you certain?
Play the tape back. I'm saying I am not certain. I have sufficient humility to.
Neither did I. I never said
Okay,
certain or
excellent.
100%.
So now we know. You.
Tony, all I'm saying is I looked at both sides of the
So when
argument.
you ma-
You only looked at one side of the argument. Thanks for your input, Tony.
Sorry. Go.
Appreciate it.
No, you're okay. I need
All
a
right.
break anyway.
Good. So where were we? We were talking about death.
Death
And I think you have to define what death is from your worldview.
doesn't exist.
Okay. Will you die one day?
What are you referring to when you say you?
Well, when you said that doesn't exist, what did you understand by that?
No, that doesn't matter.
It does matter.
When you say, "Are you going to die one day?" What are you talking about? When
It
you say
does
you?
matter. When you use a phrase like death does not exist, I'm assuming you at least understand the meaning of death. If you
Death
don't,
as a separate entity dies, a separate entity ceases to be.
somebody's
I don't
using
believe
entity
in-
now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A separate entity does not exist, so therefore I don't believe in death in that way.
Okay, so what is death to you? What do you mean separate entity dies? What does it mean?
No, I'm saying a separate entity doesn't exist, so it cannot die.
Define death. You use the term death in a sentence. Define that term.
Okay.
Because I want to know if we are on the same page. I'm not trying to be pedantic.
No,
I'm just
no,
trying
it's
to.
fine, it's
I'm
fine.
trying to get to the bottom of it by recognizing whether we are on the same page with the term death or
Okay.
not.
All right. Death, I would say, is the end of one emanation or one attribute, the end of one emanation or one attribute of being. So being takes on different attributes, different forms. One form ceasing to be as that form that form dies insofar as the form doesn't exist anymore, but being does. So
Okay.
being always exists, being never dies.
In reality, when somebody dies, is that what you think? That they just transformed
Yes.
from one form to another?
Yes.
Okay.
Most definitely.
If someone falls on the road,
Yes.
yes, and let's say they lose consciousness,
Okay.
are they dead?
When they fall on the floor and they lose consciousness,
Yeah, are they dead?
did the physical body cease to be?
No, the physical body is still there.
Yeah, no, they're not dead.
Okay. They're not dead because the physical body is still there.
No, because being still is. Being always is. That's why I
Once
said
again,
death doesn't exist.
the man has just fallen on the road
The man fell on the floor. The man
and he
is not
became
being.
unconscious. Is he dead?
No.
Okay, how will you determine that person is dead or not? The body is still there. He's not conscious anymore.
But you're saying, when you're saying the term, and you're talking about from a scientific or a medical point of view, this is a philosophical, this is a totally different stance.
Okay, so your definition of death is different
Yes,
in
of
philosophy
course. Yeah.
than in reality.
Not in reality. We don't know what death is in reality, do
We do.
What is death then?
Okay, for me, death
It's
is.
not for you, in reality, Hashim.
I'm talking reality as well.
Okay, so your view is reality.
I haven't even given my definition. You already denied it.
But you said reality, then you said mine.
Yeah, I have
That's
a reality
difference.
which is different to yours, I think.
Okay, fine.
Okay,
That's
so
okay.
that's what I'm saying.
That's
My
different
reality.
than reality
Okay.
itself.
When I go to a hospital,
Yes.
and when the doctor pronounces someone to be dead,
Yes.
okay,
What criteria do they?
then they look at certain indications to see if the person is alive or not. For example, they see the pulse,
Sure.
okay,
Yes.
and they identify this person has now died.
Sure.
Would you consider that to be death?
No. Do you believe that person actually died?
Wait, one at a time, one at a time. When the doctor pronounces someone dead,
Yes.
what is that to you?
They pronounce that the being no longer is in that body anymore. That's it.
The
That's
body is
all
still
it-
there.
But the being is not.
So,
That's why we
so
say
when a
that.
doctor, what for the doctor, what is a being?
To him, it doesn't matter. All he sees is the physical signs of aliveness, which metabolism, heart beating, mind functioning, and even after they pronounce people dead, there's still bodily functions. Would you agree with that?
Well,
The nail still grows, hair still grows, people still
yeah, but the thing is, they're dead.
dead insofar as the medical view. Do you agree with the
Okay,
medical
so
view
to me,
of death?
that is a reality of death. Wait, I haven't finished. I haven't finished
That's
yet.
not true, is it?
Don't
That's
jump.
Not, we're not being honest here, because you do
Ralph,
believe
I haven't
that the
finished yet.
person- Okay, go on.
You already jumped to conclusion. Okay, so from the real world perspective, in fact, everyone here is standing. They will say that
you
person.
keep talking about the real world.
I still haven't finished. I'm still explaining. Calm down.
But
Real world
But you keep
scenario.
using
I
these
gave you the
words
real
on
because
me.
we unlike you, we live in a real world.
this
And to
kid
me-
can't tell
to me,
what
hospitals
it is.
are real.
But Hashim,
To me, human
you never
beings-
told me when I asked you what.
Why are
is
you
the
talking
real
over me when I'm talking? Let me finish.
Because
and then you
keep
give your
using
response.
the same word without accepting, without
No,
acknowledging
I said
what I mean by it.
your reality is different. I've already acknowledged
Okay,
that.
Hashim.
Okay?
Go on.
I didn't say I did not.
All right, cool.
But to me, the real world is, like I said, the consensus of the people.
So,
Can I finish? Keep your thoughts.
Okay, I
And
will-
then I'll give you a chance to respond. Okay. So the real world is that, in fact, anyone from your family that died, the first thing they'll do is go to the hospital, get it checked out. They won't go about being this, being that, reality this, reality that, all these things. No. They won't go into a philosophical discussion. They will come back to the reality in which they are rooted in. So they will go to the hospital and ascertain, in fact, you'll have to get a death certificate before you bury or cremate your loved ones when they die. Okay? That is the reality, my friend.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I-
Now, wait, I'm telling you the other part of it, which is the non-material part.
Okay.
We as Muslims believe death is when the soul separates from the body. Okay? And that is termed as death. Separation of the soul from the body is identified as death from a theological perspective. So we believe in both the reality where the doctors pronounce someone as dead because of those vital signs not being there anymore, the pulse, the heartbeat, all those things. And we also believe in the ontological reality, which is the soul itself. For me, when I say the I, for me, that is the soul.
Okay.
Okay, for me, that is,
Would you agree that the soul exists independently of the body?
yes, it can.
Okay.
Yes, that's what happens. In
So
fact,
then would it be fair for me to then conclude you are not your body?
no, when I'm alive, the soul is within my body, and that is what differentiates and distinguishes death from being alive. Like I said, death is a separation of the soul from the body. When your soul is within your body, then you're alive.
Okay.
When you die, the soul separates.
All right.
Okay.
So
But that doesn't mean you cease to exist.
Okay.
Okay,
All
good.
right. So death in
Now you can
so
give your
death-
perspective.
if death were to exist to me, it would be the cessation of being. That whatever was ceases to be. I don't believe that happens because I believe being is eternal.
When you say
So
ceases,
when-
so you don't believe the ceases to be itself.
What do you mean?
When you're saying, so for example, when I asked you about, is that man who's become unconscious,
Yeah.
is he dead? Okay?
Right.
So he hasn't ceased to be yet, has he?
No.
Why do you say no?
Because his being is eternal, just like mine. The being itself is eternal. Just like you would say, the soul lives, it never ceases to be, but the body, it does separate from the body. I don't.
By the way, I don't believe the soul is eternal. Not in the past, but in the future, yes. So not eternal past, eternal future.
that's okay.
Because eternity, we have to again qualify what you mean by it.
Sure. So I don't see death as just separation from, because then nothing died. If the body,
Someone died.
who?
What do you mean who? The person who the doctors have
Is the
pronounced as
person-
dead.
Is the person the soul?
Okay.
Because then, if
Wait.
you say the
I
soul
think
never
you're
ceases
mixing
to
two
be-
things here. You're mixing death with cessation of existence. Two different
Yeah,
things.
that's my definition
Okay.
of death.
So
This
there's
is why I
two.
told you.
There's something called to cease to exist means completely you're no more
Yes.
in existence in any form.
Yes.
Okay. And death. For me, I distinguish between the two.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fair. Then by going by your logic, then I agree with you.
Okay.
Then death.
So how do you define death? Now that I have elaborated to you from my perspective
Yes.
what death means, would you agree or disagree with that?
I would agree with that because I do agree.
Alhamdulillah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Good.
But if we're talking about cessation of being, that you and
No, we don't believe it ceased to exist.
Okay, then we agree. That's
Okay.
it.
So do you believe in soul then?
I believe that we do have that individual or expression of being does come in a energetic form. So I do believe that I have a more of a subtle form, not which is a bit more subtle than the body, something like a soul. So in that sense, yes, I do believe that there's more subtle parts of me until it goes down all the way to the essential part, which is being itself, which is the same foundation to everything else.
Okay, so we all
So
have.
I believe in the infusation of being from one to plural, but ultimately the plural is really just a play of the one.
So this one, would you consider that to be something like the super soul or supreme soul?
It's not supreme. It's supreme in contrast to the plural, but the plural doesn't have any ontological existence other than the oneness itself.
Does the supreme have any control over the plural?
Does it have control? Yeah, I believe in divine will. Yeah, if that's what.
So what kind of control does it have on you, for example?
What do we mean by control? Like it literally controls me as it like.
No.
wants me-
I'm not talking about the free will itself. For example, we believe. I don't know. Do you believe in determination?
Yes.
You believe hard determination?
I believe in divine will, and if God wills something, it must happen.
Okay. Could your God will for you to die at any point he or she wants, or it wants? Let's say it.
There's no separation between me and whatever God, your God. There's no my God.
No, death. Because you already accepted my premise of what death is. So
Yes.
can God take your soul away from your body as per His will?
Sure, I am going to die one day. It's going to happen.
Alhamdulillah, finally you agree you're going to die because earlier you somehow denied it.
If this, but yes, but you. This is what I was trying to say, which you kind of didn't let me. Is my definition of death? If we're talking about cessation of being, I don't agree with that. I believe
By the
that
way,
never happened.
it's not that I didn't let you. I said wait for me to explain.
No, before that.
Yeah, because we were talking about
we talked
overreaching.
about death
Yeah.
before, Tony. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah. So death is separation of the soul from the body. Okay.
If that's what we mean by
Okay,
death,
so you do agree, by the way, we agree as Muslims that Allah has destined our death, the time and place itself. Okay, so this is something which we believe. By the way, as Muslims, we are compatibilists. You know compatibilism? So it means we believe in determination, but not hard determination. We believe that we have free
What's
will.
the difference between
Hard determination is everything is determined. There's no free will.
But how could you ultimately have free will if the time and the place?
They don't believe in free will. Hard determination.
No. But in your case, you'd say like God does.
No, I'm saying God. There are certain things which God determines, like the death, the time and place.
Those are
the
hard
time.
to
Yeah. Those.
Okay.
Those are beyond our control.
Okay. Fair.
Okay. Whereas
So
free
you
will.
have no feel about.
Yeah,
that.
free will is within our.
That's fair
Okay, and even in that is limited control. Okay, but we have free will.
Okay.
But what
In
we are
terms
saying.
of agency.
Yeah, so compatibilism versus.
I agree with this notion,
Yeah,
by the way.
those people who are hard determinists, and I think they are called. There's a term for it. Libertarians. They're called libertarians.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, without those jargon, what I'm saying is that if you believe that such a supreme soul has control over the place you're going to die, the time of your death, do you believe in that or you don't?
When you say your, right, it's
In your worldview.
yeah. When you say it's not that there's a communication between this God and the body, and then it wills the body, and the body has thoughts and opinions about this. What I essentially am is that thing which is ultimately controlling. When I wake up in the morning, I create my thoughts. I make this reality.
Yeah, so I'm trying to understand whether you believe in hard determination or you don't.
That's a very tough question. I'd have to look at all.
No,
the
because you
metaphysics
just said I make up those decisions to wake up and all that. So you do believe in free will. You're not a hard determinist.
I believe in free will.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't believe in hard determinism. I do believe in some hard determinist stuff. Like
You believe in some determination,
Yes.
but not in hard
not
determination.
entirely, yes.
Okay, good. Which is very similar to what the Muslims believe then. Okay? The only thing I think which you seem to be arguing here is that this non-dualistic worldview of yours. Yeah, but when you come down to it, when I asked you to distinguish matter and immaterial being, then you had some problems there.
I don't have
because
okay,
matter.
Let's go back onto that.
Okay, does matter have a beginning?
Okay, let me make this very clear because I tried it many times. When the wave of a water starts being a wave, we can say the wave started to be insofar as a wave. But
Did it have a beginning?
Did it have a beginning insofar as water? No. Did it have a beginning insofar as a wave? Yes.
I think water does have a beginning as well.
But this is.
I don't think there's any water that's eternal.
This was an analogy.
Yeah, but
to say
your analogy
that-
doesn't fit the
Yes,
example
it
you're
does,
trying to lead.
Yes, it does. Because I'll tell you why.
Okay, so once again,
Because
does matter?
Matter is being.
Okay, does
But
matter?
It's a form of being, which the form of being does exist, and so does started at one point in terms of a form, but what it is essentially never started to be.
Okay, Ralph, did I get your name right?
Raf.
Ralph, sorry. Ralph, does matter have a beginning?
See,
you
I just
said
answered.
You said in terms of its essence, it doesn't
No,
have a beginning.
exactly.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Where's the evidence for that?
This is my philosophy, and I'm not here to give you evidence.
No,
like
but
that.
you can't just make a claim.
No,
Your philosophy is based on what?
This philosophy is based on accepting that there's one ontological reality.
Okay, and this
If this is not accepted, it doesn't.
and what is the source of this philosophy?
The source?
Because for me, the source is the Quran. What is your source?
Well, I've looked at esoteric teachings of Sufism, of Hinduism, of non-duality, of Abrahamic religions. I've looked at Buddhism. I looked at Jainism, and I think the majority is pointing to a one ontological reality.
No, if you looked at Islam, then it will tell you that it's not the same. If you look at,
I'm not so
in
sure.
fact, if you look at many of these which you just
I don't
mentioned,
know, man. I mean, the view that could the Quran and the Islam cannot be non-dualist. I don't think is an ultimate claim that to be made. There were Sufis and, for example, even Arabi, even Sabine that made.
That's why they were called heretics for a
That's
reason.
fine.
What do you mean that's fine? When you discard someone as a heretic, there's a reason for it. It's not just nilly-willy. They have to They have to be a
Heretics
heretic
by
because
who?
they go against the fundamental principles of
Their
Islam.
interpretations of it. Their interpretation.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Anyone can interpret anything anyhow they want, but if it goes against the fundamental principles of Islam, that's
What,
the
there's
reason.
one ontological reality,
No. In Islam, that's not the teaching. We believe Allah is distinct from His creation. I've mentioned this many times.
Distinct in what way?
Distinct means
In every possible way.
every possible way.
So this right here exists.
It's got nothing to do with Allah's essence.
Nothing to do with
Nothing
it.
at all.
Okay, this is where we disagree.
Exactly my point. That's what I'm
This is
saying.
where we disagree.
Ibn Arabi.
How can something exist without the presence of God? How can something exist without
When Ibn Arabi said Ain al-Bab or something like that, okay? When he called himself to be one with the creator.
I don't think that was Ibn Arabi, but that was.
What did he say? What was
the
his
guy that
main?
got hanged? You mean the guy that got hanged?
Yeah.
When he said I'm al-Haq. When
An
I'm
al-Haq.
true. Yeah.
Yes,
when I'm
An
true.
No, I think that was.
That was some guy that got some blissful experience in meditation or in dhikr, I think it was. He was remembering Allah, and then out of it he came out and he said I'm al-Haq. He
Yeah.
said I'm truth, right? And he got hanged.
Yeah. So there are heretics in Islam. We don't deny that. But what I'm telling you,
To me, that's not heresy.
No, but when I
To
ask
me,
you-
that's him recognizing his essence.
Raf, when I asked you for the source, okay, you gave me a plethora of things. It's
Yeah.
not, so
It's not. I don't have a religion. You know this, Hashim. I don't subscribe.
no,
I
but
don't subscribe.
I didn't call it a religion. Even your philosophy, if it doesn't have a source which you can say, okay, this is my source.
Upanishads talk about it. The Vedas talk about it. Buddhists talk about it.
Okay.
Buddhism.
Let's talk about Vedas and Upanishads.
Let's talk about Upanishads.
No. Okay, let's talk about
Upanishad
Upanishads.
says Brahman is one.
Okay. What's the earliest source of
I'm
the
not sure.
Upanishads?
I'm not sure about
okay.
the history.
You know the Upanishads and the Vedas that they bring in? When we ask them for the earliest source of this, manuscripts or something,
Look, I'm not
they are
saying
not
they're
able
valid.
to.
Look. I'm not saying
They
they're
keep
valid.
saying 5,000 years, but when we ask
I
them for
agree with you,
evidence,
Hashim.
they
I
can't
don't
produce
know.
any.
But
But if you're going to use this as source, then at least find out how old they are. Whether they themselves
We
took
don't know. We don't
from
know.
other philosophies.
we don't know. We don't know. But what is
But that's
true,
not good enough. A source,
No, it's good
if you're
enough
not
for
certain
me,
about the
Hashim.
source,
It may not be good enough for you because you have your own criteria. I have my own criteria.
No, but listen to this.
That's the
Raf,
difference.
is this a good criteria to know the author of the book that you read at least?
It doesn't. The point is, Hashim, is that
Because if it's coming from a source which is unauthentic,
But
then
Hashim-
people will say anything, and I'm not going to take
Hashim,
hook, line, and sinker from
It's not the only
everything.
book that talks about this. It's not the only book that talks
Yeah, but then you're talking about
esoteric teachings, Gnosticism, Meister Eckhart, Catholic priests, all
Catholic
of
priests talk about non-dualism.
Look at Meister Eckhart. Do you know Meister Eckhart?
Yeah, but is he from a mainstream Catholic, or is he being
No, he was deemed as a heretic by the end of
exactly
his
my
life.
point?
But Hashim,
But don't call them Catholics then. Don't call the heretics as Muslims then. If their own mainstream society calls them a heretic, then you can't call it that
I'm
thing.
not saying Islam is non-dualistic. I'm just saying there can be a non-dual interpretation of it subjectively. If you believe that objectively this is the way, fine, I grant it to you. In my case, I don't think that's not how I see it.
Yeah, but you see, when that's the reason I said when I asked you for what is the origin of matter, you said that it is because it's the same essence as God or as the super soul or supreme soul. And when I asked you, show me this link, this evidence of the same essence, you couldn't produce it.
Hashim, can something exist independently of God?
Independently? No.
That's it.
For me, everything is created by God.
Right,
What do you
so
mean
it's
independently?
It's linked in some way to God, isn't it?
No.
There has to be a
linked as
unity
a
of
creator and creation. Yes.
There has to be a link in so far
Okay,
as being.
hold on. Just because the creator created the creation doesn't mean the creation automatically gets the attributes of the creator.
No, that's not what I said. It's linked.
Okay,
It's
linked as a- okay,
somehow.
as creator-
There has to be a link because if you're saying they're separate, in terms there's no link at all, metaphysical, non-physical, I don't care. If there's no link at all between the creator and the creation, you're saying that the creation can exist independently and it has an independent ontology. There's two.
I didn't say that.
But
I
you're
said as a
saying-
creator and a creation, that is the link. But you went all over the
So
place. I
it's
don't know
linked.
why. Okay,
It's
let me
linked.
ask you this.
So it's ontologically linked.
Does a consciousness exist without a being?
No, consciousness is being.
Consciousness is being.
It's not that being has consciousness, being has this. It is it. All of these things
Okay.
in and of itself.
Let me ask you this: if everything is a being, then you must be saying
Not a being. It is being.
Okay, so-
is this water bottle being?
Is it-
Yes. Is the tree being? Yes. Is the sun
is this
being?
conscious?
Define conscious.
Oh my God!
Conscious like we're conscious? No.
How is it conscious in any level?
It's not conscious.
But you said everything is conscious.
No, everything is consciousness, not conscious as a separate entity like me and you.
Define consciousness
Consciousness?
in relation to this bottle. Go on. Here's a challenge.
Consciousness.
yes.
Consciousness is a
Define consciousness in relation to this bottle.
Okay, consciousness, being are the same thing.
I didn't hear the bottle yet.
The bottle doesn't exist.
Consciousness. You said everything is consciousness.
Consciousness.
Define consciousness in relation to this bottle. I'm saying consciousness in relation to this bottle. Go on.
The question itself doesn't make sense. I'll tell you why.
Does it make sense to you, brothers, sisters? Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The question makes sense,
Why are
but
you
you don't have
asking
an.
them? Why
But
are
you
you
don't have an
talking to
answer.
me,
Yeah, I
Hashim?
know, but you don't have an answer.
No, I will have an answer, but your question is wrong.
Which part of it is wrong?
If this water bottle, you're saying consciousness in contrast to the water bottle.
No,
I'm saying.
No, hear my question.
Okay, go on.
You said everything is consciousness.
Yes, it is.
Everything includes a bottle.
Yes.
Good. Now define consciousness in relation to the bottle.
But if the bottle is consciousness,
Yeah, define
then
it.
why is it? Why
define it.
How can we?
How
contrast?
can you say it's consciousness based on this bottle?
Because it's an ontological claim. What it is, what is the water bottle in your case? What is it?
Don't ask me. The question is to you.
I'm telling you, it's an ontological
You always turn the
claim.
question to me when it's
Because
to you. When you can't
I
answer.
want you to understand what you're talking about when you're saying what it is. Just like the fence.
No, I didn't say what it is.
the
I said
fence?
define because you use the term consciousness.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Knowing. Ability to...
Now define it.
Knowing itself.
Now define it based on the bottle.
Why? I don't understand the question. What do you mean define it?
Because if everything is
Based on the
consciousness,
bottle.
if everything is consciousness,
Yes.
okay, knowing,
Yes.
okay, are you saying knowledge?
No.
Oh, good.
No.
So it's not knowledge.
No.
So when you say consciousness,
Yes.
what do you mean?
Knowing. It's
So it's not knowledge.
not knowledge.
So what is it then?
Knowing is not knowledge.
Knowing is knowledge.
No.
To know something is knowledge.
No.
What is it
You
then?
can simply know that you exist. Is that knowledge?
Yes.
I don't think so.
To know that I exist is it's part of my knowledge.
I think that's metacognition.
Okay.
That's metacognition. That's
if you're going to be
That's
if you're going to
different
if you're going to be
than realizing your
if
own
you're going to be
being.
difficult about
That's not-
every single term.
That's not. But you understand that my non-dualist view.
No, but you said everything is
doesn't make-
consciousness.
Yes, that's what it is ontologically.
Okay, and define.
Just like this.
But for you, but for you,
ontologically iron.
but consciousness is not knowledge, right?
It's not knowledge.
So what is it?
It's knowing. It's being.
Knowing what?
Being that it is.
Being
Just like
being is something that exists. Okay.
Being
but
is
consciousness.
exist. It is
But
existence.
consciousness, which you cannot define, unfortunately.
No, I will agree. I can't define it fully. I agree with you.
Why would you use terms you can't define? It's me saying, oh, this is gobbledygook.
Not
know?
really. Not necessarily.
Yeah, but if you use terms and you can't define them,
Okay.
means you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, let's say. Okay, I'll retract my statement about consciousness because.
Oh.
I'll
So the reality is not consciousness now.
No, I still believe that, but I'll retract it in this case. Let's say being. It's being.
You know why? Wait. That's why I gave you the example of the bottle.
Why?
Is because you kept saying that I have defined my reality, but when it comes down to it, you fail.
Because none.
And
of
you
us
have
know
to, in
what
fact,
it
you have to
is.
concede that I will retract it. The reason you had to retract it is because when it came to the test, you failed.
No, I retracted because it wasn't the proper word to use. Because I will admit.
Okay, is everything
because-
in reality consciousness?
Okay, I just retracted the statement. Why are you?
No, but
going
I
back-
want to know what
Why are you going back to it?
Because I want to know what is your reality. Conscious. You
Hashim.
keep saying it's consciousness, and then you retract it. So what is the reality, my friend?
Okay.
What is this being which is a reality?
Does reality exist?
Of course it does.
Okay,
That's
so
why you call it reality.
Okay.
Which is separate from
it's
fiction.
that simple. It's literally that simple. It is.
No,
It's
all you
just
told
the
me-
very fact that it is.
Okay. Raf, all you told me is that it exists, which doesn't say much. Because you exist, I exist.
We
Okay.
we both are existence.
No, we exist. We are not existence.
Okay, so we exist. What is this I that there was a separate we that exists?
Yeah, there are
Who is-
all these people exist. It's not complete.
They exist as
But you see,
people.
You,
So they're just
yeah,
people.
everything. The fence exists. The bottle exists. All these things exist.
I agree with
Okay,
you.
but when I ask you, when you keep saying that this reality and the being is the only reality, and all you're saying is that it exists, that's not enough, because this is a being that exists. It's called a bottle. You're a being, a human being who exists,
This is
which
the
is
problem,
separate,
Hashim.
which is not the bottle. So in reality you exist. In reality this bottle exists. But when you keep saying
this is
we are one reality,
Okay.
all you're saying is that we all exist.
Hashim,
okay?
when you're taking relative reality to my non-dual reality, which you know this is always what you use, right? It's like, well, because it doesn't work this way in relativity, it cannot work like this in your non-dual reality. But the very nature of duality, the very nature of relativity, right? You can't explain that either. All you say is that it's the creation of God. I'm saying no, it is ontologically God, because you
Ontologically
cannot-
God?
Yes, it is God.
Is this God?
Yes, insofar as it exists.
Okay.
Can you say
So
that
everything
this
that exists is God.
Can anything exist other than God?
God is a creator of everything.
Okay, they exist
But
independently of God.
the link you're making is that you see the difference between you and me is this.
I do see
I
the
say
difference.
I see that this or everything which is matter is a creation of God. You're saying everything which is matter is God.
Yes.
That is the difference.
What?
But when I ask
what
you,
exists
but
other than God?
hold on. Do you worship God?
What do you mean by worship?
Show adoration.
What?
Adoration?
I show adoration to my mother. Is that worship? I show adoration to the tree for giving me oxygen. Is
Okay.
that adoration? I thank the sun for giving me sun.
You know
Is
what
that
worship
adoration?
means?
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Because you're coming from Muslim background.
Adoration, worship.
You're
prayer.
adoring
For
something.
example, no, that's not adoration.
Okay, fine, then what is it?
Adoration as God is worship. For example, if you want to pray about something, say you wanted, I don't know, you wanted a new bicycle, for example. Yes, you don't have the money. You pray to God. God, please help me get a new bike. Okay.
Okay.
The reason I'm praying to God, or you're praying to God for that matter, is because it's something that is not possible for you to do it at that moment.
Sure.
So you glorify God, you show adoration to Him, as you're the ultimate authority. You can do what pleases you, and you know what is good for me. And I pray to you, and prayer is a form of worship. Okay? I'm sure you don't do all that to your mom.
No.
Okay, that's how we distinguish adoration to God
Okay.
in contrast to adoring His creation.
Okay. I don't pray in that way.
Okay.
I don't pray in terms.
Do you
I want
worship?
the-
So based on this definition, you understood what worship. Do you do any of that to your God?
No.
Okay.
No.
So in your worldview, there's nothing called worship then.
No, I would not in terms of what you said. Worship.
Okay.
I have a different.
How do you define worship?
Worship is gratitude, showing ultimate humility, submission, and gratitude to whatever is there.
Okay.
So, for example, the sun, I thank it every morning when I wake up. I say thank you for giving me sunlight. Just like I thank my own being for breathing and being, and this is a form of worship, and it humiliates the ego, because you're thanking for something that is something other than you.
Alhamdulillah, you have said exactly what I told you.
Okay,
That
but-
your God is a creation. My God is a creator who created the sun, who created all these things that
But
you
it's
adore
inherently
and
in
worship.
it, but it's inherently through and out.
But do you not see,
Hashim.
Raf? Do you not see? I worship the one who created all
But-
this.
but from
You
the
worship the
relative-
very thing.
No,
which
that's
is
not true.
Which is you just said you worship
But
the
you-
sun in the morning.
But not worship as you just described worship.
You pray. You show gratitude. You
Not
show,
pray.
But
You
why
just-
would you
it's
show
not a
gratitude to
prayer.
the sun, not the creator of the sun?
I believe they're one and the same.
Okay, so why don't you show gratitude to the creator of the sun?
Okay. The sun doesn't exist.
Without the creator.
No.
Yes.
Independently of the creator.
Of course, it doesn't exist without the creator. That's what I said.
Independently, Hashim.
Semantics here, okay.
It's not. It's on an ontological claim, Hashim. If the fence is ontologically my ring, let's say a golden ornament, let's say a watch, and a necklace. They're both gold, yes? Can you relatively say this is a watch and this is a necklace?
You're talking about essence
Can I
again.
finish?
You're talking about essence.
Yeah, that is very
the sun
important.
is not the essence of God.
Well, in your case, but you're talking to me, Hashim.
Remember we talked about the bottle earlier, and you failed badly.
No, I did not. It still stands, Hashim.
What?
The very fact that this exists proves to me that it's not something that's independent.
Okay, once again I'll show you the distinction. In the morning you pray to the sun. Do you pray to the bottle?
No,
Why not?
because the bottle doesn't give me sunlight.
Oh, so it's only what you benefit from. The bottle can give you water.
Not the
sun-
bottle doesn't give me water.
This is stuff
Water
of
gives
life,
me
by the way. No one here can survive without water.
I would say I do revere water when I drink it.
You know why you make distinction between the sun and the bottle? Because once again, from your perspective, you see what benefits you the most. And accordingly, your gratitude is more or less. Am I right? Did I read you correctly?
Can you explain that last part more or less?
Means your
What do you mean by
gratitude,
more or less?
the level of your gratitude increases depending on the benefit you receive from that entity or that object.
No, the level of gratitude depends on how much I submit.
How much you submit?
Yes, how much I
So
submit.
you submit to the sun. How?
I submit to existence.
No, do you submit to the sun?
If you mean sun as an existence itself, yes.
Does the sun exist?
Yes, it does.
Do you show gratitude to it?
Yes.
Do you submit to it?
That doesn't mean that they're actually.
It's not when you submit. You don't submit.
These are your words, by the way. I'm
I know.
using. Yeah.
When I'm just trying to explain what I mean by submission. Submission to me is the cessation of the separate entity.
Sorry, just
That's-
1 sec. Is that on?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I thought the light went off. Okay.
So
Okay.
submission to me is the cessation of the separate being.
No. That's not what submission is. Come
That's
on.
to me.
Oh, say again.
Submission is the cessation of the separate entity, that it submits to the higher reality, right? So just
Okay, so
like
when
just like I said, that the entity doesn't exist insofar as the higher reality, right? It exists in a lesser version of reality itself. Just like the sun is a lesser version of reality itself.
Do you submit to the sun?
Not to the sun, no.
Earlier you said you did.
No, I said I show gratitude to the sun, not submit.
You said submit as well.
But I don't submit to the sun.
That's why I said you're arguing
The sun-
against yourself all the time. You don't realize that. You see how easy it is to show in a non-dual world the distinction between the reality and non-reality, between fiction and fact, between the creator and the creation. Yes, and that's the reason. I know you don't, but I'm telling you what is more coherent, and the reason.
Why
the
would
reason
it be
you
more
can-
coherent to say that something independently exists?
Let me finish, and then you'll see why. Okay, because in fact you're the one who used these terms, adoration. Okay, showing gratitude.
Adoration was
showing
your word.
submission.
Adoration was your word.
Showing submission. Okay, yeah, you asked me to define worship. I showed you that.
Yeah,
What is
and I
worship?
didn't go by that.
Yes, but then you said gratitude and submission.
Yes.
Clearly you did.
Yes.
Do you submit to the sun?
No,
So why would you say you submit to the sun earlier?
that's not what I meant by submit. What I mean by submit
I think your
is
definition
the
of-
cessation of being.
I think your definition of submission is not even from philosophy. I don't know where it is
No,
from.
it's my.
Oh, you made up your own words?
Of course, yeah. But Hashim, this is why when you
Raf,
first,
you know when you start using your own definitions for the words that you use on a daily basis, then you cannot get
but
then you
Hashim,
cannot
but-
get
but Hashim, when I
get
first
to a
talked-
conclusion, because you can't keep defining words the way you want.
Okay, so you explain what submission is to you.
Submission means to actually bow down to the will of someone. For example, if someone is forcing you to do something, yes,
Yes.
at gunpoint, then you have to submit to their request or you die. Okay?
Yeah, that's not.
So that's a form of submission.
That's not the way I'm.
Okay, so that's why you have to look up, maybe use a dictionary if you have to, no problem. But all I'm saying is don't use words which don't mean what you are trying to imply. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fair.
Otherwise, we won't get to the bottom of it, you know? We will
But
be using
you will
terms.
never get to the bottom of it anyway.
No, we will, because
No,
if
we
you
won't.
if you keep
Hashim,
saying if
okay, Hashim,
you
let's
cannot
go back.
distinguish
Okay, fine. Let's
between
go.
reality and fiction,
Look, no, I can. Look, Hashim, Well, you yourself do not know what reality is.
I did. I told you.
Do you know
something that
specifically
exists?
what it is?
Say again?
Something that exists. Can you
Some-
define it any other way other than that it exists?
Yeah, something which, for example, to me at least, something that exists, whether in material world or immaterial world, to me that is a reality. And there are things in the immaterial world which we might not able to see or even feel.
What gives the
But
material its reality, Hashim?
the matter itself.
So matter, it gives life.
Yeah, I believe-
It gives, so matter is self-existent. That
No,
it
no, no,
exists
no.
within its own.
That's not what
so
matter
what gives,
means.
So what gives it existence? Continuously.
dear. Okay.
It's continually on and vibrating.
By the way,
what does it
no.
give life?
I'm not saying matter is eternal. If that's what you're trying to get at.
No, I'm saying, how does it have any ontological? How can it be? How can it be?
Some of the terms here.
How can matter be?
Yeah, how can it
Because it
be?
exists. It is
Exists
made of
how?
It is made of
Why?
atoms and molecules which do
And
exist
these-
in
and
the
these
real world.
exist- And these exist why?
Oh, you are saying if they exist by themselves? Is that what you're trying to
Yes.
say? You see, this is what I mean. I have to read everything between the lines. When you talk about
But
existence,
Hashim, every time we talk,
no,
this
Raf.
could be the case.
When we talk about existence, we don't necessarily talk about what source it came from.
We think of
We don't. We know existence as whether it exists in reality, whether you can,
But Hashim,
whether it's empirical.
Do you see how arbitrary? You're saying whether
No, I'm
it
not.
exists.
I'm
It
not.
is,
I'm
because I'll tell you why. You're saying it exists in reality, but you cannot truly tell me what reality is.
I
You're
just did.
using a word reality, but all you're saying material and immaterial. What is the reality of these two? What is it?
For me, if it exists, if it is made of matter, at least in the material world, okay. If you have empirical evidence of that, that exists.
Okay,
I gave you enough. I gave
exists as what?
you whatever that my object is.
Okay, so this water bottle exists as a
May-
water bottle.
Atoms and molecules.
Okay. Does this exist independently of any?
See, now you're going to the source again.
I have to.
No, you don't have to.
Because when we're talking about something, we're talking about its ontology.
No, not necessarily. When you're talking about existence, what's the opposite of existence?
Non-existent.
That means it doesn't exist.
Yes.
Does nothing exist?
No.
Good. Why does nothing not exist?
Well, in my case, because there is only existence.
No. Why does it not exist?
What? Non-existence.
Nothing. Exactly. I can play philosophy quite well.
But that's not my stance, though. It doesn't.
Your stance is philosophy all this time. Your stance
that's
has
not
been
what I'm
okay.
saying.
You
That's
just
not
said
what I'm
nothing
saying.
doesn't exist. Why does it not exist?
Because by definition, nothing doesn't exist.
What is the definition of nothing?
Nothing. I don't know.
Nothing is
You tell
nothing.
me.
I'm doing exactly playing the same game he's doing.
exactly the same
Yes.
follow-up question.
I've just turned the tables on you.
How? I don't see
Because
that.
you kept saying about the ontological reality.
Yes.
Okay? When I asked you about nothing, you can't give that definition.
So
Because why can't you give the same ontological reality for nothing? Because
it doesn't exist.
why?
I'm so confused.
I know you are.
I don't see the. I don't see.
Okay,
what
so
you're trying to say.
what I'm saying, look, earlier when I
How
said
does this compare to the ontological
because you
argument that I
see
made?
over here, you never asked about the source of nothing, did you? That was never the basis of your.
But we're talking we're talking about a source of
Raf,
something that
Raf,
exists,
wait a minute,
Hashim.
wait a minute. You kept saying the basis of your reality is the source. But when I asked you about nothing, you never argued with me.
but nothing
Oh, it
is
doesn't
not-
have a source. You never said that.
No, but I'm a source of something that exists, Hashim. Nothing doesn't exist, therefore it doesn't have a source.
Yeah, but that's we were talking.
How does this
Raf,
contradict?
we were talking about existence and non-existence. Okay.
No, we were talking about existence.
Yeah, but
This whole time.
No. The reason.
Ontology means it exists.
No, but why were
Hashim.
Raf? The reason we were talking about existence, and when I showed you non-existence, okay, if your basis was always the source, then you would have said because nothing doesn't have a source. That would have been your argument. The reason you didn't say that is because
I just said nothing doesn't have a source because it doesn't
because
exist.
to you,
I didn't say that because I didn't understand what point
wait,
you're
wait.
making. But now
the
it doesn't make
yeah,
sense.
The reason for you to use nothingness as non-existent is nothing to do with its source. It's to do with the definition of nothing. Am I right?
It also doesn't have a source.
Because it doesn't exist. He does not realize this. It's so obvious, man. If it
When
doesn't,
I'm speaking ontology, Hashim,
We have to
it is a preposition that it exists. If you're going to come to me about non-existence, I agree with you. It doesn't exist and there's no source.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with my reality.
no, your reality, you said it always goes back to the source. Because what do you do every time?
Something that's real.
Yeah,
That's-
when I told you about the bottle, you went again that it was, you cannot separate it from what
The
created
source.
it. Yes, the
Of course,
source.
yes.
Okay. So your basis was always the source, am I right? It's not to do with the definition of a bottle or the definition of this or the attributes of these objects, nothing to do with that. Am I right?
When you're saying the water bottle, you are describing the attributes in all of those.
Yes, I am.
I agree with you insofar that that's the water bottle.
Okay, so I'm
But what the water bottle ultimately is, Hashim, I made this 1,000 times. I see what you're trying to do again
Raf,
and again.
do you not see the
It's
consistency?
It's not the contradiction, Hashim. Non-existence doesn't exist, doesn't have a source. The water bottle does have existence and it does have a source.
No.
How does
No,
it? When
how
I'm
did you-
speaking on Hashim, please be fair here.
Raf,
because
the reason.
Let me finish.
Okay, go on.
When I'm speaking ontology,
Yeah.
it exists by definition. Ontology means existence. It is
Okay.
being.
But when it
exists
came to nothing, what method did you use?
itself. No method because it doesn't exist.
No. You said nothing doesn't exist, and you gave a reason for it. What was that?
It has no source and it doesn't exist. It
No,
just.
you never said no source. You never said that.
How many times have I just said no source in the past 3 minutes?
No, the reason in fact, I was the one who pointed it out to you, that when it came
Because
to.
I didn't understand what
Let
you
me
were
finish.
saying.
Of course, I'm speaking English. You know that, and you understand every word. In fact, there are words that you didn't know. You made up the definition of submission by yourself.
No, I'm not talking about understanding.
Yeah. Anyway, so
in terms
I at
of
least use the
definition.
words which we use.